me and Ryan have been officially welcomed to the jungle that is Barstool Sports.
Our white whale, Sidney Crosby. Shave his head! Shave his head! Shave his head!
Ryan Whitney, Paul Bissonette, R.A., Mike Grinelli, Spittin Chiclets.
What is up, folks? Welcome to the Casa de Yandle and episode 567 of the Spittin Chiclets podcast. We're live in Florida. I am down in the dumps. The city of Edmonton's down in the dumps. We're nervous. We're scared, but we're flushing it down the toilet. But you know what we're not flushing down the toilet is Pink Whitney. Pink Whitney vodka. I had Florida Panthers fans yelling at me, "I'm not drinking your vodka, you bitch." I said, hey, let's keep this civil. What did my vodka do to you? And I saw a lot of it being drunk down at the beach at Fort Lauderdale, and we had a little bit before the game, and everyone, I hope, enjoys it right here in Yans's house. We got the bottle right here. We got new bottles too, even different, better. Or is this the new one? I'm not exactly sure.
No, that's the old one. He puts that in his kid's cereal.
Exactly. That's why they're so good at lacrosse. So shout out Pink Whitney. Take your shot with Pink Whitney. Go down. It's summertime. It's hot wherever you are. Go have some Pink Whitney on ice and enjoy it. And get ready for Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final coming up Thursday, guys.
We got to pump the stream. Don't
pump the stream. I don't. Yeah, everyone's watching, I think. So just maybe tell people that you're friends with to maybe put on our stream. Guys, holy shit! What a crazy run so far. We haven't chatted since the finals began. Personally, it would have been a lot nicer had we chatted after Game 1, where I was flying high. I thought we might sweep them at that point. Now it seems like a little bit of a panic time. Biz, you were in Edmonton. You got to experience what I think are the two greatest games to ever start a Stanley Cup final. Maybe recency bias, but I just don't remember being that into hockey. Like those games in Edmonton were incredible. And then obviously Game 3, the Panthers roll. We'll get into it all, but talk to us about the vibe in Edmonton, what you thought going into the series, what you've thought so far, and we can kind of figure it out from there.
Well, Game 2 was the greatest hockey game I've ever seen.
No doubt.
Just how loud it was. Like it was, and the fact that they'd won Game 1, right? So the fans were so much more amped up than Game 1, thinking they could take a 2-0 series lead, right?
I was thinking that as well.
But just like, you know, from the moment that like they start kind of like, let's go Oilers,
Yeah,
let's go Oilers,
loud.
and then they start playing the tune, the Metallica tune, and then they open up the doors to the dressing room. They start coming out, and then it gets ramped up even louder, and all of a sudden they're at like 110, 115 decimals of noise. And then the minute they finally come out, you can see them live, and Skinner touches the ice,
and the goal horn. It's like the goal horn goes
like
on.
a WWE. It's unreal.
It's just the energy, the fandom, and not to take away from what Florida's created down here, because it was a ruckus in there last night. A little bit like different in the way they do it. Like they're very in your face.
Oh, they're scum, and they're they're incredible team, fans, great fans, scum. And
So I thought it was pretty funny. Game 1, there was 2 Florida Panthers fans. I believe they got the first goal on Game 1, right? Because they took a 3.
No. Game 1, Leon scored.
Okay, Leon scored, then they scored 3 straight, right? They took a 3-1 lead.
Yes,
and
they're up 3-1.
So as soon as they score the first goal, we were in the corner, like near the concourse, and there was these 2 Panthers fans, like right on the glass by Skinner, and they score, and these guys are standing up, and they were just going all the Edmonton. They turn around and be like, "Fuck you,
yeah,
fuck you, you want some of this? Fuck you."
1 on 19,000.
1 on 19.
For sure, neck tattoos, like Florida people.
It reminded me of Jesus, the bowler in the Big Lebowski.
Oh.
He's like, "I'm gonna fuck you up, man. I'm gonna fuck you," and it's kind of how they look too. So I thought that was pretty funny, but. Just going back to the atmosphere and you know when they would score, and obviously when Leon put in that OT winner, like I described it as biblical. Like it's the heart of the hockey world, and you know as much as you want to say Montreal and Toronto are the meccas, like the drunkest buffoonery you've ever seen.
They get crippled.
And typically arenas, they cut off the booze about halfway in the third period.
Yes.
They were serving beer until Leon scored that goal. There was
they serving beer till in double overtime game 2.
Like, I'm not condoning this at all, but like my buddy Jeff was sitting next to someone who's like, oh, I think I'm gonna like leave here like with like a minute left before Corey Perry tied it up in game 2.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm going to beat the rush. I think I'm going to take off now. And then Corey Perry buried it. And this guy proceeded to crush 5 beers in overtime. So these guys are like, they're on a different level, the drunken buffoonery. But it was an incredible experience. And the biggest thing about it, though, was just the gameplay. I couldn't take my eyes away. Every single shift, like there was a chance to score. There was good defensive plays being made. There was a big save. There was a huge hit. Like game 1, there was 51 hits aside. Like these guys were trying to kill each other, which at the time I was like, wow, I'm like, maybe the Oilers can actually hang with these guys physically. But I think you see it maybe a little bit now where they're kind of reaching, where they're almost like playing into Florida's hand.
Well, that's game. The game was out of hand when they got like that, and at some point you're like, all right, if we're gonna get pounded, let's try to get some flesh, right? Like let's try to get these guys. Now, Keith, you said after game 1, you're like, oh, that's fine. I figured that we'll win in 5. Like you just figured no problem they'd come back, win game 2, because after game 1, I'm like, holy shit. Now, looking back, I guess my confidence level probably was a little too high based on like they were down 3-1. I believe that Maurice going into that game was 31-0 when leading after the second period.
First or second.
First or second,
which is crazy.
So you're telling me when they led after either period, or they had to be leading after both?
I think either or, if they were, someone check that. But yeah, a crazy stat. That's why I wasn't too worried, because me and Biz were just talking about it. It's like Edmonton almost played their best perfect game, and Florida, obviously they scored some goals and found ways to score goals, but they didn't play unreal. Like Barkey wasn't Barkey, and it wasn't their best. And then we saw their best last night. And it's like, but game 3, that's why everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to be a sweep. Edmonton's going to roll them. But I didn't see that at all. And Bob too. Bob wasn't him.
Well, yeah, Bob now, that's the disaster.
So, like when we were playing, I remember the ice being a little bit more of the conversation. Like guys would bitch. I feel like nowadays, like people don't really complain. You don't really hear like in the post.
Bad everywhere. That's why.
But I feel like if it's good anywhere, it would be in Edmonton. Like they have really good ice, and I felt like Edmonton was able to move the puck and advance it, and it played more into their hand. And after the second game, that was one of the last things Wayne said before we signed off on the broadcast was, my concern for Edmonton is how they're going to have to change up their style of play based on the fact they're going to South Florida. It's going to be a muck fest. We know that Florida likes to flick pucks in the neutral zone, and all of a sudden you get the grenade. You don't know where it's going, including how good they are in dump-ins on the forecheck. So I really felt that even when McDavid sometimes was controlling the puck, sometimes he loses it, and it's like, I felt like those guys couldn't handle the puck as well as they did in the first 2 games. And once again, I feel like it's really playing into Florida's hand based on how they can play really any way, specifically the physical nature of their game. And you saw that kind of take over in game 2. I think they out hit them 60-40, right? So that's when you kind of say, okay, now they're ramping it up. They're investing a little bit more. And, given that Edmonton, in my opinion, is a little bit more banged up, I think that it's going to continue to be more and more obvious, that physical play.
And you remember, I think it was last year or either the year before, Maurice said to them, he was like, wear them down now because they're going to feel it in game 7. Like, this team's built to go 7. They don't care. Like, losing that first game, a lot of teams, I think, would be like, oh boy, we're in one, especially when you're playing against McDavid and Leon. But they're just like, this has to go 7. We'll go 7. We're fine with it. We dealt with a 3-0 lead last year, had to go to game 7. I just don't think there's really any worry in that locker room.
No, yeah, they're battle tested, man. They're just, they don't get rattled. They really don't.
Somebody said they saw Rodriguez because that JW has an awesome gym. Have you ever been to that gym at the JW Marriott?
No.
It's like,
you get injured in there?
He was fucking a foam roller much like I do. And I think somebody went up and how do you feel? And he goes, we're fine. We're fine. We're good.
Yeah, they don't. They're down 2-0 in the second round to Toronto. Now, back to game 1. What was amazing for Oilers fans, myself, it's like, all right, last year, the finals, incredible comeback, but you're down 3-0. Leon never scored. Boom. He gets that first goal. It's like, oh my God. Like that right there. Like, all right, boom. Leon didn't get one last year. We're up 1-0. Then Sam Bennett, at this point, it's I think he might be the best player in hockey right now. Like, Now we'll talk about the first goal where he falls into the goalie, right? Like he ends up like doing his whole didn't mean to do that. The accidental on purpose, where if it was anyone else, you look at the replay, you're like, oh no, he kind of got tripped up. But because it's always him, I'm convinced he's just the master at making it look like a complete accident. So he gets credit for that first one. Then who scored? Then they went up 2-1 in that game.
It was Brad Marchand, the power play.
Marchand, yes, the power play. And Nate Schmidt, who didn't slow down in game 3 either. He looks like Bobby Orr. This is what happened. You go to Florida, Seth Jones, people, Blackhawks fans, he stinks now. It's like, I don't know.
They were fucking losers online.
I think your team stinks because now I'm watching this guy. He's flying around. He scored an incredible goal in game 2. But Nate Schmidt passes over. Marchand gets one. So it's like, all right, well, here comes the Rat King. We're down 2-1 now at home. We had the lead. Marchand's buzzing around, and then Bennett gets the third. Now that's where I was like, I don't. What are they going to do against this team? Now that comeback and that goal, I think Arvidsson scored an enormous goal to make it 3-2 in game 1. Okay, big time. And then McDavid has his moment. In that game, he's wheeling around the net. What was incredible about that is Gretzky in the intermission. He's like, they're taking away the middle. Connor's going to have to go around the net, or he's going to have to, I think, stop up and
pull up and hit the late guy.
Well, what does he do? Sure as shit, Gretzky, just knowing the game better than anyone. McDavid wheels behind the net, finds Ekholm, tie game, and we're going to OT. Now, OT game 1, I think we saw a stat that the team who wins that game, it's like 80% wins the series, right? Something around there. I don't know if you guys looked at it. It was right around 80%. I'm like,
I think it's 77% of teams who win game 1.
Yeah, so we go to, this is must win. Can't go down to these guys again. Can't go down to these guys. Get the W. Now, here's the problem, okay? Florida didn't get rattled at all before game 2. They really didn't. And then Edmonton kind of comes into the game. I think excitement. I think we can take this 2-0 series lead. But Brad Marchand, guys, Bruins fans are probably.
How is he on this team?
How is he on this team? How did they let this happen? How did the league allow this to happen?
The Leafs would be in the Stanley Cup Finals if it wasn't for Brad Marchand.
Yeah, true. For a 32nd overall pick.
Yeah, and at the time it was a second round. Yeah. I mean, they got lucky. So Brad Marchand in game 2. Now, earlier in the year, he kind of struggled in Boston. 1, they stink. 2, he had 3 surgeries.
Right.
So you have to figure he's going to figure it out. I didn't know he'd be this dominant. I didn't see this coming. I mean, he's so dominant enough to the point where last night, game 3, they started that power play unit every time.
I know.
I think it's Bennett, Marchand, is Lundell on that unit. It's their second unit. Yeah. I would think.
Schmidt up top.
Yeah, Schmidt up top. And I think he's just like, I got to ride Marchand right now.
Yeah.
And obviously Bennett's on that unit too. So that guy in game 2, that was also a performance for the ages.
It also gives those other guys a little bit of rest to maybe focus more on their matchups with Draisaitl and McDavid, right?
Yes.
So I feel like the way they're distributing ice right now, for Maurice's sake, he's just doing a masterclass job. I would imagine that you saw his in-game interview with Jackie Redmond. He must be driving you up the wall at this point, Whitty.
Yeah, he owns everyone. I mean, he's a comedian. He's cracking jokes on the bench. Like I saw last night, game 3, they get that too many men on the ice penalty, which like
can't happen in the finals.
Just horrible. Like a puck over the glass, penalty, 2 minutes on the ice. Right as the penalty was called, it was a commercial, and Panger's on the bench interviewing Knobloch. I'm like, he must be sore. No, meanwhile, Maurice gets interviewed. He's just might as well put his arm around Jack. He's cracking jokes. He's just the life of the party. I mean, this fucking guy, you can't beat this guy right now. All he does is win and just hold press conference comedy routines, and it's driving me crazy. I think it's driving everyone crazy.
Not just you.
No, just Alberta.
But you know, if you and Alberta doesn't have to see the TNT part. Does Sportsnet do the coaches interviews mid-game the way TNT does?
I don't know if they do that.
I don't think they have cable.
No.
They don't have direct flights from major cities. They might not have cable.
Well, yeah, and getting to Edmonton. I mean, so yeah, right now.
So can we talk about Marchand a little bit? So
I wanted, before I forget, that goal that he scored in overtime, like if you watch it, he's going towards the wall for a chip out, and a lot of people would just continue doing that. He makes a subtle little turn back. Like 90% of guys are just hoping for a glass and out there. He made such a smart play, just coming back to the middle of the ice, and then I forget who passed it to him.
Lundell, he got
Lundell,
two
yeah,
primary assists on him.
baby pass right up the middle and then break
He
away.
dished it to him on the shorthanded goal as well.
Yeah, I think Lundell got both primary assists. Where I was just gonna
He's
say,
a
like,
horse.
yeah, like so Lundell and Listerainen are essentially mini-Barkovs, right? Like
Yeah.
they follow every step that he does. Like whatever he's eating, he's doing. Whatever he's training, he's doing. They're doing it.
Yeah, I think they're all sleeping in the same
Oh.
room. Like it. But what a guy to learn from, right? Like you're going to learn, the correct way to play hockey, the 200-foot game, and Barkey is that type of guy that he's showing them the right way. Like he's a lead by example guy, and it's wearing off on them. And I'm telling you, in 5 years, like you're going to look back and be like, how good are these kids? Like they're studs, and they're going to be for a long.
Well, I had forgot. I'm like, I knew they drafted Lundell. How did they get Lusterainen, right? Oh, it was the Trocheck trade.
No, for fuck.
So I mean, God, like Trocheck was great down here. He was
Yeah.
great in he went to Carolina
Yeah,
first, right?
yep.
But they got this kid. I mean, he looks 6'3"-ish. He's just long,
strong,
rangy.
lanky.
That line is just dominant. Now, quickly, like I will say, the first period of game 2, you say the greatest hockey game you've ever witnessed. Definitely the best first period of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, that we got to see another McDavid moment. That play and that dish. And I believe Ekblad was asked about it after, and he's like, yeah, McJesus. Like almost
Yeah.
like, what am I going to like? First, he embarrassed Barkov and just cut back on him where Barkov looked like me when I was playing. And then like Ekblad goes flying him. He ends up, I think he was on his face by the time. And then McDavid, as he's curling it, which the puck was rolling as he backhand toe drags it, in one motion, just slides it under Lundell's triangle to Leon. That was to go up 3-2. First period ends. I'm like, this is the greatest hockey team I've ever witnessed. I think I might have tweeted it. I think this is the best hockey team I've ever seen. But Brad fucking Marchand, guys. Brad Marchand. Like I as you said, how is he on Florida? How are we watching this guy over and over? And this isn't even including him starting off game 3 with a goal. So I just don't understand how he's still this good. And I could say the same for Corey Perry, who was the best Oilers player in game 3 when we had nothing. What a pathetic effort. Disgusting. But Brad Marchand, I can't keep watching him and Paul Maurice do this. And last night, the fans are screaming, hey, fuck you, Win. Bitch, fuck you. I'm like, I can't be in this building anymore. I come to this building and we just get worked over and over. Of course, I wasn't even at game 6 when we extended the series, or was it game 5? We extended the series. I've never seen them do shit here. I just see them get worked in these neck
like a therapy
tattoos,
session.
brush back.
You wanna
I
lay
can't
down?
stand it. And watching Marchand, and he's like perfect at what he does, and somehow he hasn't slowed down. So
Well, the first period of that game in game 2, he was like sticking everybody in the balls, creating scrums, going after Arvidsson. So like he's being the rat king as well as putting the puck in the back of the net. And then a stat too. So I think this is his 3rd Stanley Cup final.
this might be his
They played again. They won it against Vancouver.
4th.
This is 4th. Okay,
Yeah.
so he won against Vancouver, played against
Lost
St.
against
Louis.
Chicago, lost against St. Louis.
Okay, wow. So I think he's got 11 Stanley Cup Finals goals in 9 games, right? So he had a couple games where he got 2 goals. They've won 8 of the 9 games. So he is just like a fucking winner.
When he scores, they win.
He's a winner. He's a fucking winner.
Besides game, did he score game 1?
He scored game 1. He scored
game
every
one. He scored. So he scored every game. How many goals does Bennett have? What does Bennett have? 4 now?
So Bennett, I believe, has 4 in this series, and Bennett has an NHL record 12 road goals.
Yeah.
He scored 12 goals. He's got 14 goals in playoffs, 12 of which on the road. Now, we talked about it in the box last night. You seem to still think it would be a bad contract. I think this guy's getting 10 million all day.
100%.
I think that 4 or 5 teams would offer him 10 million. Because people, your argument is what? The 50-point thing, right?
My argument is that this actually makes it seem like I'm not in awe of how good this guy is, specifically in the playoffs. Like a true gamer, Stanley Cup champion, the perfect player for playoffs. 10 million a year when what is his career high? 50 points. I know it's a different game in the playoffs. I think on this team, it's a lot easier for him to be this dominant. Like stick him on another team. I don't know if he doesn't have this supporting cast, is he the same type player? Like when he has to completely carry your team offensively, not completely, but wherever he goes, it's not going to be like, oh, there's Marchand, there's Barkov, there's Reinhart, there's Varhage. Like he's able to kind of sneak around. If you give him 10 million, he's one of your top 3 players. And then I just don't know if like you want to pay that guy that much. $10 million, dude, is that's a lot of dough. I mean, that's more than what every player besides Barkov
in Florida. Yeah.
So I wouldn't understand how he wouldn't stay here. Like how would you not stay in Florida?
Yeah.
They would give him what, 8 times 8, I would assume, right?
I would say that they could probably afford to give him 7.5, 8.
Okay, so even if all right, so say they give him 8 times 7.5. All right, you're what, 60 million? That would be 60 million. Okay, so you're gonna go somewhere and you're gonna get 7 years times 10. You're saying 70, right? Well, like you're telling me you'd be willing to leave this dominance in this team and where you fit in on this team for an extra what, $8 million? I don't get that.
I've always said this. I've always said that. That's also why the state tax conversation comes into play.
Great moment last night. Gary just nose off. Even your sunburn, he still didn't care. He bit it off.
He was fucking. He was ready to answer that one.
Did you tell him you were going to ask him that?
No, I think he kind of figured and knew I was going to ask that. What are you looking at?
Bennett's so Bennett's made 30 minutes. Now let's go back to Bennett game 3. Maybe one of the best shifts. It kind of reminded me. Remember Brooks Orpik, the shift against Detroit?
Giroux had the shift moment.
No, Richards.
What did I say? I said Giroux.
No, I think they both did.
Yeah.
I think Giroux scored in that, and I think Richards might have.
Yeah.
But he murders Pod Colson. Just center right, the perfect body check. Then he goes and hammers, I think, Klingberg, who it might have came to on the wall. I don't know who the righty was on the wall. And then just boom. For some reason, Pod Colson, he looked brutal in game 3. All the depth Oilers players aren't around. Where'd you guys go? We need you. This is how we rolled through the West. We need you. Pod Colson gets his head taken off by the sociopath Bennett, and then he hits somebody else. Then Pod Colson gets the puck, probably concussed, tries going D to D, like, buddy, you're a 4th liner. Chip it in. You're down 3-1. You're on your offensive blue line. You got no help. Chip it in the corner. No, he tries going D to D. Loose to Ryan and picks it off. Bennett gets it. I'm sitting next to Merles. He's like, goal. He wasn't even at the red line. And I'm like, I know. Like, I didn't even say anything. I'm like, this is going.
How about
in.
that speed burst too?
He's
by
fast.
Bennett.
Has he always been this fast?
10 million.
Yeah. Yeah, he can get it going. He can fly when he needs to, but usually he's flying around when he's going to hit people, not for breakaways like that. But you're right. He put it on a different level. How about who passed it to him?
Loose to Ryan.
Yeah, Loose to Ryan just like,
go ahead.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Bennett was probably barking at him. Like,
He's gonna hit him.
So the reason I give him 10, I would give him 10 million, and I agree with you, Whit. Like maybe regular season, he's not going to stand out and make these flashy plays. And like, I mean, let's go to Marner as the comparison, who's probably going to make 12, 13 million, right? He's going to get you the 100 points and pretty much guarantee that your team is going to make playoffs.
Yeah. But
when you get there, man, like we all know playoffs is a different beast. Like making plays under pressure, winning puck battles. Like you watch with your eyes. You know who's more valuable when it comes crunch time.
I know.
So if you get it, there's rumblings that he might sign in St. Louis. There's rumblings that like LA is trying to go after him. Obviously, Toronto would pay him 10 million to their fucking blue in the face. Like to me, it's like, oh, Marner 13 million on the right side, or would I rather have a second center like Sam Bennett behind Matthews, where at 10 million, 11 million for him, I don't see that as a problem. I see that as like, okay, now we got a guy who could take the focus off of Austin Matthews as a secondary option. So if, let's say, if Barkov's shutting down Austin Matthews, at least you have a guy like Sam Bennett, where if you have competent enough wingers, like a William Nylander to play with, I mean, like, let's be real. I don't think Tkachuk's been at his best.
No, that's the scariest part. I haven't even noticed him.
That's what I'm saying. So he's playing with Tkachuk, and who's on the right side? I'm drawing a blank here.
For that line?
No, Verhaeghe got bumped up top.
Erod or
Erod, I think Erod actually got bumped down to the second line for the last 2 games on the left side. And I think Tkachuk was playing the right side there. So like, it's not like he's playing with these all world type players in what he's doing.
Yeah,
that
he can drive a line. He can drive.
He's essentially driving the line.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like, okay, like, oh, he's never got over 50 points. We got Jay Fresh with the charts out here. Like, oh, that'll be an overpayment, where it's like, bro, like, are you watching the fucking games? When it's Stanley Cup playoffs and there's violence involved and there's intimidation involved and exactly the type of hockey you saw last night, that's what you're going to have to go through to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Every team is going to have to go through. So regular season wise, yeah, you know what? Maybe he's a $6-7 million player. He's like a Barbashev type player, but we've seen it the last 2 years now. And yeah, people are, oh, he's playing behind bar. I don't give a fuck. He still has to go against Draisaitl's line. He still either has to go against Draisaitl or McDavid, and he's doing what he's doing now in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's a $10 million player. I'm sick and fucking tired of paying these guys based on the fucking charts. Ask fucking Carolina how's that's going. Ask the Toronto Maple Leafs how that's going.
It's not even charts. It's you're paid literally on regular season stats. Like, that is how you get a contract. Yeah. Now, buddy, I agree with you. I'm just wondering, and I'm a bitter Oilers fan right now. Like, would he be doing this on another team? I don't know. Although he was called playoff Sam Bennett on the Flames, so obviously it's always been in his DNA to be able to be that much better in the playoffs. I'm so sick of him too. I can't stand watching these guys be this good. They're bullies and they're just incredible hockey players. I just am like, fuck, man, would he be doing this if he was on the Leafs this year? Like, if you switched him and Tavares this season, like, how much worse off is Florida? How much better is Toronto? I think
so. Look at JT's regular season, and then compare it to the series against Florida, right?
Yes.
So the 11
But
million.
if JT played down here, he'd turn into a Sam Bennett somehow. Like, they would, like, the guys come down.
Okay, so that brings up a conversation from last night about the Panthers. Like, I watched Kulikov, who, like, Army was mentioning, he was in Pittsburgh.
Great skater.
Yeah, but, like, you know, like, solid player. He all of a sudden on this Panthers team, this particular team, the last few years, he's a prick out there. Yeah. You turn into a complete asshole. You're like, look at Ekblad now. I don't ever remember Ekblad being this much of a menace. No, he's definitely playing the best hockey I've ever seen him play. Like, he's just dominant out there. I mean, you saw the hit against McDavid in Game 3, which people are like, he injured McDavid. He went down the runway. I think it was just equipment. If you watch that hit, what part of it could he have been injured on that? It's maybe like a tailbone,
hip pointer.
But yeah, but I think he was completely fine. But Ekblad, he's a menace. Kulikov's a menace. You got Mikula. What did Army call him? Just an enormous
Condor.
Like tarantula. He's just like, you can't. It's just the whole team is so in your face. And last night was the perfect example of them coming home and them just beating the shit out of the Oilers. Now, getting into the Oilers effort, and I talked about.
I got to say one thing about Sam Bennett. Sorry. A lot of people give Matthew Tkachuk the credit of like changing the culture down here, which I 100% agree with. But Sam Bennett was here a year before that, and they played together in Calgary. But remember when Benny came here and we played Tampa in the first round? It was like one of the best series ever.
Yeah. It was a gong show.
And he got thrown out of one of the games and got a suspension. And pretty much that's missed him so much. But he kind of changed the way that Florida kind of played with hitting guys late, being in your face. Like, he deserves more credit for being a culture changer down here than he gets credit for.
He kind of started a little bit.
I think so. Like, he was one of those guys. He's just like a silent assassin. Like, goes out there. I didn't know much about him. He comes in at the end of the year, and then you see him in playoffs. You're like, whoa, this is a different animal.
And going back to the Gary Bettman battle we had, it
wasn't much of a battle.
Yeah.
Stuffed you in a locker.
One-way battle.
Oh, yeah.
I think people are thinking I'm trying to take away for what Florida's been able to accomplish. Like, it all goes to management and that staff and what they've been able to do as far as, like, I mean, Forsling picked up off waivers. Like, you just mentioned the Sam Bennett. I think he was traded for a 6th-round draft pick. Not sure what the fuck was going on in Calgary when they decided to do that. Like, the list goes on.
What was it?
If that's serious,
I'm pretty sure Sam Bennett was traded for a 4th or 6th rounder.
And a kid, I remember his name was like Schwinn or something like that. He went there. He was a tall kid. I don't think he ever made it.
Gonna pull it up now as far like you just mentioned, like getting Luosterainen for Trocheck and how that's panned out. How about them last year bringing in Oliver Ekman-Larsson?
Yep.
And who was the other defenseman? Montour. Well, they got to get rid of him. How do they replenish? They figure out a way to bring Seth Jones in, and then they get fucking Nate Schmidt, who in the Stanley Cup playoffs is leading the D in scoring.
Nate Conn-Smith.
And then what's that?
Nate Conn-Smith.
Yeah, exactly.
But remember, who was it?
Mikula, like, he's making 2.75. So there's just so many like moves along the way that's put them in this situation. So once again, that other conversation was more for a broad conversation for the league. I don't want it to take away from anything that Florida and management and this team has been able to accomplish. That's not what the purpose of it is. And the argument that everybody keeps making about it, and Ace mentioned it and Gary did, it's like, oh, it's 15 years ago, nobody was talking about this. It's like, yes, well, 15 years ago, the cap was 44 million. So the 11% of the state tax on that amount of money is like, whatever, let's do like $3-4 million.
The argument that it was like this forever is ridiculous. Like, things change. Like, I don't
think things change. And also now we're at $100 million cap. And if you're talking about 10% state tax or 11% difference, talking about a $10 million player here.
Yeah.
Or two, or a Barbashev, and then and whatever, a couple Mikolas. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's just why it needs to be brought up. And like you're saying, with like, things evolve, things change. Like, it's like people, like, remember when Lou Lamoriello, when he tried to sign Kovalchuk to that deal, like, there's clear manipulation and things that happen over time where you're like, oh, we could take advantage of this. We could take advantage of that. This just seems to be one of those things as the cap's gone up that it's like, it's clearly obvious where there's an advantage for teams. I mean, 6 years in a row now, a team from Florida has made it. Look at Dallas, look at Vegas. Like, they're all going to be wagons for a very long time, especially if they have good management.
I want to talk about Edmonton Game 3. I got to just rip off a couple quick ads here, guys, and it starts with Game Time. The Stanley Cup Finals are here. We're almost halfway through. If this goes 7, the only place to buy hard-to-get finals tickets is Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying your tickets. Prices on the app is they go down closer you get to game time. It's pretty legit. As the puck is about to be dropped, the prices get lower. You can save up to 60% when buying last-minute tickets. Stanley Cup Finals tickets, NBA Finals tickets, Major League Baseball, all the summer concerts you want. Game Time has it all. I believe for Game 4, there's tickets right now for $240. Is that what somebody said? What are you waiting for? Go to Game Time right now. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use code Chiclets for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem code Chiclets. Download the Game Time app today. Biz, what time is it?
Game time.
Game time. Also, one more quick one here, boys. One more quick one here. We got to talk about Aura frames. Aura frames. What do you get? And Father's Day is coming up. Any ladies on here? I think right now I see close to 3,000. Is that 3,000 people watching? There's maybe 3 women, but if you have a man in your life, if you have a husband who's a father and Father's Day is coming, Aura frames. What do you get the man who already has everything or says he doesn't need anything like me? Skip the ties and get your dad something he'll actually love. An Aura digital frame. Aura Frames was named the best digital photo frame by Wirecutter. It's easy to see why. I got one sent to me. So easy, just all Bluetooth, bing, 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 bing. You can have the pictures rotate. It's money. It looks good. It's easy to use. There's unlimited storage, so you can add as many photos, videos, and funny memes as you can find. I turned into a meme last week. I'm an internet meme now forever of just not moving my face during a very intense argument
that was
between
too
2
intense.
lunatics.
I'm like you. I don't like those comments.
Yeah, no, I'm not really. I was looking to talk about Oilers Game 1. But for the guy who swore he didn't need anything, let the Aura frame prove him wrong. Aura has a great deal for Father's Day. For a limited time, listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting Aura Frames. $30 off on the best-selling Carver mat frame. That's AURA frames.com. Promo code Chiclets. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Okay.
Great read.
So Oilers hockey.
Yeah.
Oilers hockey. Their worst game of the playoffs last night. All right. So little state of the union here where I know games 1 and 2 against the Kings were complete disasters, but last night was something that I really haven't witnessed. I didn't expect to see in this final, specifically after they won game 1. It's like, this is a different team. This is a different year. The lack of discipline to start that game, and I know that the penalties were evened up technically, right? Like Oilers fans, I don't want to hear we lost because of the refs.
No, 4 minors each.
Get out of here with this. We're not doing this in the middle of the final.
4 minors each in the first.
Do I like the refereeing last night? No, it was a little bit of a ref show from the beginning. But don't blame the ref. That's not why we lost that game. We lost that game because their special teams were better. They were better 5-on-5. Their goalie was way better. The refs weren't great. They didn't lose us the game, okay? Evander Kane, I don't know what he's thinking in the first period. You cannot when you take penalties in the offensive zone, one of them on the power play, when you're 200 feet from your own goal, you cannot take stick penalties. What did coaches used to say? Those stick penalties, those hookings, those high stickings in the offensive zone are just momentum vibe killers. It's like you can't deal with it. And Florida's power play and their team, you can't give them momentum, right? And to start that game up, now Kane also, I saw something, I'm like, what is he doing? And this guy's been awesome in the playoffs. And you're going to need him to be awesome to win. I think I mentioned on one show I did, like, this is a true X factor in the finals, Evander Kane, with how Florida plays. The starting lineup is on the blue line. It was McDavid, it was Nuge, it was Perry, it was Ekholm and Bouchard, I believe. And the Florida Panthers starting five is on the blue line with the goalies in each crease, waiting for the anthems to begin. And Kane is just wheeling around the Oilers zone. I'm like, I thought he was starting. He's waiting. I'm like, he's not even starting. What is he doing? I don't know if it's a little like want to keep my legs going. I don't know if it's a little I like the attention here. I'm getting myself fired up. I'm just like, this is an odd start. Like the whole team's on the bench. The starting lineup's in the blue line, and you're doing figure eights. And then to do that in the first period, just running around, which you got to run around, but you cannot take penalties like that. You can't do it.
The one on Marchand was bad. Like you can't. That's just bad.
It's just, and then like the one later he got against was it for Hagee or Reinhardt? At that point, yeah, who cares? Slash him in the face. I don't care. Like fuck, you're getting. I actually didn't mind what they did at the end of the game. They looked ridiculous, but it's like we're getting pounded. We got to do something.
Goes back to that third line too, starting that game minute in. They win the face-off. Kind of a weird play. Like sometimes off the face-off, like if you're a center, you know you're supposed to lock up center on center. So I think that Draisaitl, the puck ended up going to his right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he lost sight of it, and all of a sudden it ended up springing where like Lundell got loose, right? He was all alone. And then I don't know if you noticed, as Draisaitl's trying to go get him before he gets to behind the net, because now all of a sudden he's got separation. Lusterine and sets that little pick, and then Draisaitl tries to like elbow him. And
I think he did catch him.
Oh, he fucking got.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
There was no call, but I love the play by Lundell. You're a minute in, like everybody wants a slow, easy start. It's like, let's just get it to the blue paint, get it to there. They're fucking caving in, and sure enough, the Rat King himself goes skate to stick, and it's in back of the net. Now
what is Skinner doing there?
He wasn't himself last night.
I asked Hank, I said, how do you think he recovers from that OT winner? Because I thought that OT goal was brutal.
Kind of a weird bounce.
Yeah, I thought when I originally saw it, Leon had such a good back check.
He fucking took his stick away.
Yeah, but he did get a piece of it on his backhand. I thought he didn't touch it on his backhand. He let it in just coming off his stick, forehand through the net. He got a little piece of it where he's opening up his legs. There's a back check. Yeah, obviously one he probably should have had. But it wasn't as bad has he not touched it with his backhand. Yeah. If he'd scored it when it came right off his forehand, it would have been a real disaster. At least there was contact to slide at 5-hole. But were you saying Hank was like nervous for him on how he'd recover from that?
No, I asked him. He's like, you just have to let it go, and like kind of gave like the leave it behind you, reset and that stuff. But then all of a sudden Panger's piece comes up, and then he shows how Skinner ties his skates. Did you see that?
No.
You could probably take Skinner's skate off of his foot if you wanted to when it's tied for the game.
Well, are we going with that? Like now, like he's been he's tied his skates the same way. He's been to 2 straight cup finals. Like I don't think how he ties his skates is like why he played bad last night.
I think I asked Hank about it. He seems it's a little weird that you can't really push off that good when it's like so loose.
Nah, everyone's there. Like, look at Drew Doughty's skates. He's one of the best defensemen ever, and he barely.
I'm not like blaming it.
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
are
saying it went into that, and then all of a sudden, he's
skin off his hand when he ties.
All of a sudden, he's in
Bobs are eyelid to eyelid. I don't even think
Marchand got that
laces anymore.
Marchand got that puck. Fucking Skinner was in the fucking neutral zone.
I don't know what happened there. He kind of went out on the original when Lundell threw it in front. But when I looked at the goal, like right away, I'm like, he's on his stomach outside the crease. Like, what are we doing here? But boom,
his skate almost fell off.
Now,
he's wearing Timberlands.
Now, then, like, all right, let's just get out of this first period last night because I know they scored a minute in that first shift. Bouchard had an incredible shot from the point that Bob made a great save.
Bob was unreal.
And once again, Merle's, who's every idea in the history of hockey was Merle's idea.
Yeah.
You know, and everything that ever happens, Merle's knew was going to happen.
We know that.
And I think the first shift, first maybe 20 seconds, Bob just took a shot and went like this, and he's like, "You're done." He goes, "You're done." Like it just looked like, all right, Bob's in that mode, which on Pardon My Take, I mentioned like that's the thing that scares me the most. And then it happens. My first
Corey
game
Perry had one. It got him right here early. Like he had about
that hit his knob, I believe.
Did it? I think, yeah, he had about 3 or 4 10-bell saves to keep it to weather the storm in the first period.
Early. So you know what? All right, let's get out of this period 1-0, kind of regroup. But nope, another penalty. And I believe this was the too many men on the ice. Now, Oilers fans, this is where I do agree. You can be annoyed as I am. There was a blatant too many men on the ice penalty by the Panthers in the second overtime of game 2. Ekblad got injured. I don't remember exactly what happened. Somebody's wheeling into the zone.
Hit in the hand.
He got hit in the hand. He's crouched over getting off the ice, and the defenseman hops on for him while he's still 3 to 4 feet from the bench. It's too many men on the ice, like blatant, right in front of the puck carrier. The whole Oilers arena standing up, right? No call. Then they get called for this one, where it was also kind of Kane's fault. It looked like he gave that fake change. And for people who don't know what that means, if you're coming to the bench, you know, and it's very obvious to the entire bench, including the guy hopping on, that you're coming to the bench, he's hopping on. Well, you can't then U-turn. You cannot turn around and go back because that guy's already on. That's what happened. Boom, too many men. And what the fuck goes down? Carter Verhaeghe. I think maybe one of the nastiest shots I can remember in this year's playoff.
He had about this much.
And the puck was rolling. It was on edge. When the puck went on edge for me, I was over the glass. Like I remember trying to shoot one and went over the glass in Long Island one time. He's picking the corner where the crossbar meets the post, and it's 2-0, and it's panic time. And now. The second period starts. I don't know how Lundell got that penalty at the end of the first period. I think I missed that.
Yeah, he suckered. I forget who it was.
So right, started that madness.
I mean, it was madness, and I feel like
he was getting cross-checked.
You could have taken one from either side, but he had the most aggressive punch to the guy's face. And at that point, like you said, it kind of was a bit of a ref show. Where with that penalty, there was 4 minors each side in the first period, so it was just a full-fledged gong show.
Which is why I'm not going to sit there and blame the refs. We had our power play was brutal.
It wasn't good.
Yeah. And let's be honest about an enormous topic here is that Connor McDavid in Florida in the finals, it hasn't been well. It hasn't gone well for him. And Barkov and Forsling every single shift are able in this building to really slow him down. Does he have any 5-on-5 points in the 5 games he's played in the finals in Florida? I'm not sure. I don't.
He doesn't. That's crazy.
Crazy because
I think maybe one game he has 1 5-on-5 point going back to last year
in Florida.
I believe.
Yeah,
so.
and dude, you're throwing, and I can't believe watching Forsling. Like, forget getting Marchand, getting Bennett. How the fuck did they get Seth Jones this year? They got Forsling on waivers. They got him on waivers. He skates like for defensemen as McDavid does for forwards.
Yeah,
it's incredible. And he's in your face. And I guess somebody was saying Maurice had brought up that every year he's like, I don't think he can get any better. Like this could be the year he takes a step back. He comes in and crushes his records or numbers from the testing the year before.
Yeah, so I guess
he's a freak.
I guess the guys on the team won't allow him around their wives if he has his shirt off.
Yeah, that's a team rule.
The team rule.
Team rule.
League rule.
Speaking of shirts off.
Wow, look at this guy. You're fucking yoked.
Bieksa.
That's my neck.
Look at the shoes. Look at
holy Florida.
If I wore that right now, we'd have 7 live viewers. We'd have 7. You're sitting on the mic. Hey, while we get juice dialed in, I'm going to rip off a couple ads here quickly. I apologize, everyone.
He's on the juice.
How do you two look like this?
This is insane.
He's commenting on my sunburn. I went to the beach with no sunscreen for 2 hours. This sun, you don't fuck around with it in Florida.
Guys, we were tired.
It's like we were
tired, guys. Why do you look like this? Okay, hold on here, boys. Hold on.
Yeah.
All right. We got to talk about DraftKings. We got to talk about DraftKings right now.
Everything in my memo.
Shut up, Biz. The fastest game on ice just hit another gear. It's the Stanley Cup final where legends are made and every shift could turn the tide. Ain't that the truth? Now with the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you could take every slap shot, breakaway, and overtime thriller to the next level. Betting on the Stanley Cup final new to you? Question mark? You're in for an exciting time. Getting started is a breeze. Fire up the app, DraftKings Sportsbook app, pick your team to win, lock in your wager, and you're off. Here's the kicker. New customers who bet $5 will score $300 in bonus bets if their wager hits. That's right. Turn $5 into a Stanley Cup final payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code Chiclets. That's promo code Chiclets, $300 in bonus bets when your $5 bonus bet wins on the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. And we got one more here. I apologize. Gee, which one is it here? Which one is it here? Oh, Body Armor. How could I fucking forget Body Armor? The reason we were at the game last night, they hooked us up with the tickets. Look at these new drinks. Hey, Juice, have you had the strawberry banana one? Oh, my God. It's incredible. And this episode is brought to you by Body Armor Sports Drink. This summer, cool off with the Body Armor Chill. This actually isn't the chill. I think we have that somewhere else. It's a bold new way to hydrate with no artificial dyes, flavors, or sweeteners. Enjoy the new refreshing, cooling sensation in the 3 impossibly cold flavors: frozen berry, frozen cherry, frozen orange. Available for a limited time at 7-Eleven or a store near you.
Wait,
Is that a real waterfall?
Hopefully my wife isn't inside and saw you come in. She's gonna think we have.
What are you
that's her
doing for
sporting.
workouts, bro?
Me and hanging out with David Amber.
Amber's
He's a
all
machine.
Oh, he's a fucking.
You saw him yesterday. Did you see him yesterday?
His arms are bigger than my
Hey,
quad.
you guys look
This guy's like 80 years
you
old
look
and
like the
he's ripped.
situation and Ron and like you look like
Yeah.
Jersey Shore guys.
I know they are.
Roll them up.
You're the
Join the
you're
club.
the situation, right?
You guys are rolling them
I'm
up.
Ronnie.
Oh man, I'll roll them up. This is ugly.
You're Ronnie yelling at his old lady,
Get
battling.
over here.
Yeah.
Sam.
I'm
Yeah, Sam.
and Harry, and you guys are Jack Tan and not Harry, and you got a
East
stale
East
pumpkin
Coast,
on your arm.
West Coast,
It was sunny 2 minutes ago. Now it's a tsunami.
Well, this guy came in here. There's tsunamis from the women in Lauderdale watching
Yeah,
him walk around in those
waterworks.
shorts.
Well, Hank's coming later too, man. We're gonna have flood warnings. Fucking work
All
fest.
the
different show. This is a different show, eh?
It's very
Oh, it's just
different,
like
very-
Sportsnet.
Well, you're on Sportsnet. Yeah. Let me bring up what we just were talking about as you came in.
Yeah.
McDavid in Florida. There's problems, right? Like they have Barkov and Forsling every shift out there against them. Biz just said 1 5-on-5 point in the 5 cup final games he's played.
That
in
was
this
a complete
building.
guess, by the way.
Was it?
Yeah,
That
that
was
was biz.
a-
I think it was correct.
Oh, was it?
McDavid has 1 5-on-5. Biz.
Where's the stats guy?
We got
Pasha?
him over there. We have 4. Well, no, Pasha's literally looking at Devil's depth
There's
chart.
7 guys over there.
He's-
Can't get a
he's
stat.
He just
scumbag.
grilled Elliot on the beach yesterday about the Devils free agency. Like, who
No.
is thinking about Devils free agency right now?
Oh,
This guy.
he wants to know what the Hughes workout plan is this
Yeah.
summer for gaining weight and gaining some muscle.
He didn't
I
like
want to
that
know
post.
about McDavid and how he could get points against Florida in this building, Juice.
He got smothered yesterday. I mean, it was a concerning loss. Like, I don't know how you feel
Big time.
about it, but just how they sunk to the Cats game. And like the Cats are, I love the way they play. I think everyone loves the way they play. It's old school and they wear on you and they chip you and they clutch and grab. And it seems like they're more suited for that game. Like, you know, when you're in scrums as a player and like you're really mad and you're trying to get the guy and the other guy's just laughing at you. That's the Cats versus the Oilers. Like, the Oilers want to, you know, play that game a little bit, but the Cats are good at it, right?
Oh, they're playing
They're
mental
irritating,
warfare.
and they're still like making plays out there. And I think like with the Oil, like they have to enough with the scrums. I think to a certain degree, like hold your ground, maybe fight once in a while if you want to fight like Nurse did. But I think they have to play fast and hard. Don't you think?
Yeah, and
Don't
I
you
do
worry?
think, in fairness, they didn't really get completely out of hand till the game was out of hand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they did that in the games 1 and 2, and last night they didn't really do it early. They just had too many penalties in the first. But you make a good point. Like, Florida wants them to do that. It would be like being like, hey, in Tiger's heyday, want to do a putting competition, Tiger? He's like, yeah, sure, okay, bud.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, awesome. The Cats are like, you want to come punch us? Fine. We'll just score on the power play and then rub it in your face and then cross-check it from behind later in the game. So
And magnified in Florida.
exactly.
So maybe in
Yeah.
Edmonton, they kind of got away with it in Edmonton, home crowd, like that factors in.
Oh yeah.
And then in Florida, like with their crowd, you're losing that game 9 times out of 10.
I was actually impressed in game 1 how they almost kind of played Panther hockey,
Yeah.
and they were just as physical. Where I'm like, wow, maybe they got something here that maybe these Pod Colzings, the Yanmarks, and they were elevating their play and also playing with that nastiness and barking. But I agree with you as far as being able to play your game, but also the gamesmanship of the chirping after the whistle. That like Marchand can do that, Tkachuk can do that, and even the guys that maybe aren't doing it in their lineup, which there aren't very many, they can just worry about playing hockey. So I just thought that was Edmonton playing right into Florida's hand last night. And they, like you said, they just need to get worried about moving the puck up ice, making plays, and if anything, not giving them anything in scrums.
And I
Just,
think
like completely ignoring them and then letting them kind of sleep Florida. They're going to play hard. They're going to play their game. I get that, but don't feed into that with the scrums. Like the second half of the game, every time there was a whistle, it was fucking guys like sticking guys in the groin, stinky mitts in the face. Like that's not how Edmonton.
But who gets the momentum from that? It was Florida every time.
Every
like
time.
that's where somebody on the team, like the leadership or the coaching staff, has to see what's happening and say, hey, we're losing this battle after the whistle. Like we're the frustrated team. So let's just like chill, right? Like somebody has to be like enough with the scrums.
Yep.
If you want to go ask a guy to fight, go ahead, go do your thing. But enough with the scrums, because we're losing all the momentum from all these scrums. The crowd's getting going.
They're happy. They're happy that we're doing it.
Florida's definitely been like, hey guys, they're frustrated. Keep doing what we're doing. Keep
Marchand was going to their bench.
I
like,
know,
like,
how funny.
oh, he's like, use your heads, boys. Use your heads.
Yeah,
He
at
was
the same time, I got a meth head in my face in the with you pussy. Cat. I'm like, what the fuck? Get me out of this building. Now, I want to ask your opinion on McDavid's quote, which I loved. Really kind of fired me up and probably fired up the entire city. We have not been our best in this series, but it's coming. I think there's an argument to be made that Florida loves that. It almost challenges them a little bit. But you think that's the right move by him, right? Like just to kind of not relax his team, but like kind of put the fire out a little bit. Like we're fine.
Well, you can't overreact. You know,
Yeah.
they just got a beat down. They've lost the last 2 in a row. Series isn't over. He hated your question, so he just took
He's literally eating in the middle of the show right now.
Beats
I
to his
think
own
you
drum,
can wait till the show.
Crumbs all over your
Yeah,
couch.
no,
and
He's got a
floor.
bagel. He's got an egg sandwich that's cold for sure, but I respect it. He's got a sunburn. He's got gout, and he's now eating a bagel
grind.
sandwich.
It's a
too.
steak
I
and
want
egg.
you to do the talking. So I'm
It's a
just gonna eat.
steak and egg sandwich.
Did you like the quote though?
I love the quote.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the way you have to portray yourself with strength. You can't just say, "Oh, we're terrible. I
No,
was
yeah.
brutal." I don't like that. Like, still show be accountable and understand. Hey, like we didn't play very good, so say that. Say, hey, we got to be better. But yeah, don't beat yourselves up in the media. Like, there's plenty of guys to beat you up in the media. Don't beat yourself up, right? Show confidence, portray confidence, but say, hey, like we know we got to be better.
Do you
And he
think
will.
they should have went to Pickard earlier?
I said after the third goal,
Yeah.
because I said there's nights that you can tell Skinner doesn't have it. The first goal was a sign, right? Verhaeghe goal, perfect
Can't
shot.
do anything.
The Reinhardt goal, that was not that hard of a shot, perfectly played,
Yeah, but
but
that's Reinhardt's goal. Like, that's such a Reinhardt
Wait,
goal. Have
the
you ever
way he
you play
shoots
with him,
it-
right?
What do you think
I
about the
didn't
way
play-
Skinner ties the skates?
But Juice, like the way
Upside down? How does he tie them?
not tight enough for this.
He doesn't.
Can I see this video somewhere?
Reinhardt,
Him
that's
tying
his
skates?
release.
dude,
It is
he
so
shoots it
good.
from like back here. I don't know how he even gets like
And he
the-
like does this little manipulation with his blade. He's one of a
Kind
kind.
of like Perry does a little.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Perry's got the worst shot in the league. I've talked about it over and over. Worst shot in the league, and this guy's got almost 500 goals combined
Crazy.
playoffs. And so, anyways, back to your original question. I thought 4-1 because I thought 4-1 the game was over. Even though it was only 4-1, it felt like Edmonton had nothing. The game was over. Get Pickard in. You know, he hasn't played a long time.
Mhm.
You might need him. You might want to start him next game. He hasn't lost in the playoffs.
You would
Yeah,
start him
that's-
next
I
game.
would I would consider it just to stop the bleeding and give a different look. Because if you know, Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. So you just, I don't know. You would consider
If
it.
he- if
I
he
would say
came in-
Skinner, if you don't tie your skates tighter, we're
No, I
not
just saw
playing.
the picture. That is fucking crazy.
He doesn't do the top eyelid, and he barely ties his skates
Yeah.
as a goalie.
But I
So
mean,
when
this
you're-
is also a guy who was just incredible,
Yeah,
right?
like
throughout
you
the
said.
playoffs since the first round.
I understand that, but I think that if you watch the goals that he allows when he goes east to west,
maybe
it's because of skates.
maybe he has gout.
This is going on like what you think if he came in the locker room next game and just ripped them tight and did the top eyelet, they're just like, we got him now, boys.
He might
He
have
tied his skates.
he might
different.
have gout and he can't tie it tight.
What about a layer of tape around like Duncan Keith used to do?
He did a
Yeah.
whole
What did he do
goal
that?
career, I
Wrap.
think, at one point.
I'll tell you this right now. I would start Skinner, and I think he can get a shutout if I tie his skates.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. Going
Remember
back,
Keith Ballard?
if
Did you
I
play with
go
Keith
in there-
Ballard?
Yeah.
Keith
That-
Ballard barely tied his skates.
Yeah.
One of the best skating.
Dewey.
defensemen. Yeah.
He's same way.
nobody tied their skates looser than Mike Ribeiro. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, that's just because he's lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
He had
that's his
cigarette
effort.
going.
so I had
Look
a,
at that! Look at that! Did we get it up there? Can we show? I mean, that looks like a kid who's just tying skates for the first time and going to go out
That's
there
not
and
a
break
real-
his ankle.
That's a real hockey
So-
player.
That's
you-
quick.
So
What's
even
that?
That looks like Biz in the minors.
so even looser than that, I had a coach.
That can't be real.
That's real, dude. I'm telling you. That's why I brought it up.
All right,
That's like when
Pickard
you're
game
heating your
5.
skates, right? Like you're molding them, and you just barely want to
the
touch
eyelid out. Don't rip the eyelid out.
So I played for this guy Mo Mantha with the Saginaw Spirit. I think he was with
He was at the national program.
national program.
He was a player, right?
Yes.
He played for Minnesota North Stars.
Correct. And he used to tie his skates so loose.
He was a coach.
Yes, but when he would barely tie his skates to the point where it could come off if he just like wanted to take his boot off while he was on the ice. And I was like, wow, like you don't really tie your skates. He goes, I used to do this as a player. He goes, one time I was playing in a pro game and he went around the net and his skate got caught in the net and it fell off in the fucking game, dude. In the middle of a fucking pro game.
I think one year he had like 67
That's
points.
Skinner's
Dude, money.
godfather.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Let's see, Mo man.
I think he had a
Hey, who's the
couple big
what is-
years.
what is-
Juice? Who is the guy in the LA benefit game that didn't tie his skates? He's like
Oh,
a TV
Justin
guy.
Bieber.
No.
No.
You're
He's-
talking about is it Evans?
He's a TV guy for LA.
You know
Yeah.
who Mo Mantha had 67 points for and 102 PIMs? The Pittsburgh Penguins in 85,
shit.
86.
All on one skate.
Yeah.
He looks like he doesn't tie his skates. So
What does the chat think about the way that Skinner ties his skate?
I
Also-
cannot
also
allow
the-
this to become a
No.
storyline. I just can't. I
Also,
can't.
when the goalies put on their pad, don't they tie something around? Isn't there like something that ties it?
I
Makes
still
it
don't
tighter?
think that's real. I still think that's like just maybe he's
Darren
eating his
Pang did a
skates.
Might have been-
2-minute hit before the game, being like, I was down in the locker room talking to him about that.
Panger was letting in goals from the red line when he played. Like we can't be listening to Panger judge him how he ties his skates. And I love Panger; he's a legend. But we're not making this a storyline.
It is.
All of a sudden, if we lose the cup because Skinner's tying his skates too loose, I won't be able to stand it. I won't
Skate
be able to deal with
We
it.
got skate
Skate
gate.
Okay, going into game 4.
I want to ask him this: would you pay Bennett $10 million a year?
Florida or Toronto? You still trying to get him? This is tampering.
You lost them.
This
when
is
you-
kind of
when your
tampering because
crowd
he
was
actually
booing
doesn't.
him.
Don't you work for the Leafs?
if you're a GM
No, he's
and
fired.
Tampering.
if you're a
Fired.
GM and free agency hits, are you saying, Sam, we're offering you 7 years at $10 million a year?
I don't think you need to pay him $10 million to get him here.
No, here, no.
I think he stays here.
I think
Why
he's
would you
crazy if
not?
he
Why would
does
you
it.
not stay?
I
there?
know.
Why would you not stay where you're valued? You love it. You love the team. He suits this team. Like, where's he going to go? He's going to go on some rush team in the West or something. You know what I mean? And go up and down. Well, he's really good off the rush.
Yeah.
Sneaky good off the
Really
rush.
good.
But I don't know. Like you have a good fit. Why would you leave it for And
I
go back to
You
your
could have
state
a fan like you.
your state tax argument. Like he's going to make good money here.
But I'm saying is if that's not on the table,
How much money do you need? Like you could afford this house.
He's
You'll be able to
already
afford
made
this
30.
house.
He's
man.
already made
Beautiful
30.
house.
Thank you.
all right, you're really not answering my question. I know that you,
Would I pay him 10?
yeah.
Yes. But I also said when Tampa won the Stanley Cups, the back-to-backs, I thought Yanni Gord was an $8 million player because he was a certain regular season player, but the way he played in the playoffs made him more valuable. I think you have to start evaluating guys based on how they are in the playoffs. Who cares if you get 60 points in the regular season? Do you get points in the playoffs? That should be a part of the evaluation process.
Agreed.
Your arbitration, all that stuff. That should be like magnified. How is this guy playing the play? I don't care how many points you get. Jeff Skinner gets all these points in the regular season. Never,
Yeah, but if you're
That
stuck
answer-
on a shit team and
No,
you never make
that's
the playoffs,
pretty much
then-
exactly what we were talking about earlier as far as evaluating, where like more than anyone, like the game just completely changes come playoff time. Like there's not as much time and space. Intimidation becomes way of a factor.
You would have been making 10.
You probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, but
Like,
I wouldn't.
how many
but-
guys did you play with when all of a sudden like push came to shove? You were like, where the fuck did this guy?
Well, yeah, you need courage. You need courage to play in the playoffs. And if you're a skill guy, you have to have the courage to take hits. If you're, a physical guy, you got to have the courage to give hits, which I think is easier. I think it's harder to have the courage to take hits and to make plays when guys are just trying to run you through the boards.
And for me, we haven't brought this up yet. The biggest kick in the dick of all this right now is a guy with I think you could argue the most courage on the Oilers, or right up there is Zach Hyman. And now you're seeing like, holy shit, like not only are we dealing with the Nugent Hopkins injury, I think it's quite obvious it's something with the wrist or the hand. That's brutal. But like, if you could choose, who do you want out against the Panthers, Hyman or Nugent Hopkins? You choose Nugent Hopkins,
right?
So no, and then that's nothing against him.
Nugent's been great,
but like not having Hyman in this series is awful. And Biz,
especially the way he was playing too. He had like
he was running, and then he started scoring right before his injury. I think he had 2 goals the game before he was injured. So that is an enormous loss that you're seeing become even more clear on the road. So Biz, they've played 10 games in the Cup Finals. And what have the Panthers done in their 6 wins of those 10 games? Can you think of what they've done in that's very evident in all their wins?
Untied Skinner skates.
They've scored first in every single win. And every win the Oilers had, they've scored first.
No shit.
Game 4, 5, and 6, the Oilers scored first. Game 1, the Oilers scored first.
Wow.
Thursday night, I'm worried about another blowout if Florida goes up 1-0. I'm telling you, they are able to like completely get into their game in even a different way once they get that lead. It also gives Bob that extra confidence. And I think in this building, maybe it's just every time I'm in this building, the crowd and the Panthers, they're just dominant, that I'm like, they have to score first Thursday.
Well, you know what's just as important as in this building for Edmonton is scoring first, the power play.
I know.
So that's the only thing that's going to stop everybody from running around and chopping you in the ankle after the whistle. If your power play scores, they're going to be like, okay, hold on, discipline. When your power play, I know they get the goal, the power play goal, the Perry goal, but too little, too late. You need to score early, early in the game when there was 3 penalties in the first period. You get 3 power plays in the first period. Edmonton, yeah, they had some good looks or whatever, but you score there, it's a different game. Like that was our series in 2011 against Boston. When we went to Boston, we had looks early. We didn't score. They bullied us right out of the building. So Oiler power play is more of a concern.
Oh shit, eh? Yeah, I know. Going back to that, because you guys were like a completely different team at home, right? Like you guys won those first 2 games.
We won all the first 3, and then we won game 5 as well. We go to Boston, and it's just like this series, right? All like the crowd and everyone's on the other team's like 2 inches bigger and 20 pounds heavier, bullying us. So what's your pushback? You're I'm gonna go fight everybody. I'm gonna go fight Chara, Thornton, Lucic, McQuaid. Like no, right? Score on the power play. That's the only way you can stop these guys from bullying us. So Oilers power play scores early next game, they're in good shape.
Yeah.
What are the other things that are standing out right now that like Edmonton needs to do? Like my thing going into last night's game was, given that Nugent Hopkins gets bumped up to the top line because Hyman's not in the mix, like I feel like the bottom 6 is just way more lethal on Florida's side. Of course, the third line is like they don't have an answer for that, Edmonton, really.
And Greer was big coming back. Did you see what he did to Ekholm? I mean, he attacked him at the end of the game, and then Ekholm like pretty much is like skating away from him, and he's just throwing punches at him and just be like that. Greer, he's a honey badger.
So I was sitting before we went on air. You guys are already on air. You have like a 3-hour pregame show. I'm standing there, kind of just on my phone, and Greer's parents walk by, and they come over and they introduce themselves to me. And like Dad's a big guy, and they're from Quebec. No, but I was like, oh yeah, and they were so grateful. Like, we're so grateful to be here right now. Like the nicest people. And they were like, yeah, this is so awesome watching our son play in the Stanley Cup final, and like just super, super grateful. I'm like, oh, I hope your son has a good game and maybe scores. And they're like, no, like we're just happy he's playing. We're just grateful he's in the lineup. And then you see him go out and just contribute. But he's always been a tough player. Like him, and so this brings me to Gadjovich. Him and Gadjovich are like your perfect 4th liners, I think now. Like run around, they never defer. Every forecheck is a hit, even if they miss the guy and hit the boards. Every forecheck. So as a D, you know what it's like. I hate playing against the 4th line. Yeah, give me Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves. Don't give me Ben Eager and Adam Burish. Right, like run it like every hit. Like so, like these guys run in and they hit and they like bark, and then Gadjovich, in my opinion, is the toughest guy in the series. He's like your legitimate 4th line fighter. So he'll
fight Olivier every game.
He's a top. He's probably like a top 5 guy now in the NHL. And the fact that Nurse had to fight him and did well, like Nurse deserves full marks.
Yeah.
How many like $8 million, $10 million defensemen are fighting Gadjovich and doing well?
And that was at the end of the second, right? Was that
No, that was
the
11
third
minutes
Madden.
left.
Oh,
in the
11.
third.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
But Frederick starts the whole thing, which going after Bennett, right time to do it.
But he should have done it earlier in the game.
Should have done it earlier, but he makes the decision. You could see in his head.
Yeah.
He makes the decision, breaks the stick on him. Okay, he's like, I don't care about penalties. I'm going to make I just wish he would have got Bennett more. But then I know what it's like. Like you go into the pile and someone's going to get Gadjovich, right? Like it just so happens he's on the ice and Nurse just gets pulled from behind, gloves off, fights him for 2 minutes, but does an unbelievable
and
job.
sometimes those long fights, though, they could take a lot out of you for like even like a day or two.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you're going that long, like there was the refs were the lineys were busy getting the other guys in the box. That's why I had to keep fighting. The real ref was there and he's like, I'm not fucking jumping in this shit. I don't get paid enough for this shit.
I think there was times too. Nurses like we're done, and Gadjovich's like we just began.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great trade-off for Florida.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right?
So
great
good.
trade-off.
Do we have the clips of Gadjovich who's just acting like
Is he doing that to the bench, his bench, or the Oilers bench?
I think he looked,
or is he
also-
doing
I
it
think-
to
I think he
Skinner's skates?
I think he looked. I think he looked back at the Oilers box, like where their guys where they're in the penalty box, and then also when he was going down the tunnel, he was like doing some dancing.
I know, and also when at one point he was in the box, or it was Greer in the box, they were like laughing. They were like the Bash Brothers in Mighty Ducks. Like I'm like, oh,
I got a quick story about hip. So, and I think this story is appropriate. So in the Toronto series, I'm doing like a thing on Tanev, how he takes so many hits. And I'm like, Tanev doesn't have to take every hit on the forecheck. When F1's coming, he's going to run you through the boards, just sidestep him, right? Like I get you're tough and everything, but you don't have to take every hit. And I go, like a guy like Gadjovich, and I show the hit, I go, you don't have to take this hit from a fourth line meathead, right? I just say it innocently. His dad reaches out to me after, and I've never talked to his dad. Didn't know
on
who he was.
Instagram or something?
I'm not going to say how, but his
Okay.
dad gets to me and he says, and I could, it was a bit of a rant. Like, my son is a great person and a father of twins and a great brother and all that stuff. And usually, like, I wouldn't respond to those types of things, but I'm like, I feel bad. I go, no, my apologies for that. Like, I use meathead as a badge of honor.
It's
like
a
it's a
compliment.
hockey thing.
Yeah.
Like, I was a meathead, right?
Same.
So like, no, and he's like, my son's a clean player. And I'm like, your son, but he's not a clean player. That's how I ended. I go, my apologies if I offended you and your family. I get it. It's a badge of honor, but just so we're clear, your son is not a clean player. Neither was I. And he's like, thank you for reaching out. And then I watch this guy now. Obviously, you're going to watch him more. I love the way he plays his role.
Well,
I know you probably don't.
No, I
plays his role perfectly.
I have no problem when I'm talking Bennett, Marchand, Gadget. Like they're an incredible team with every single thing you need slotted in the right position.
Yeah.
But you can't say your son's not a meathead. He's getting off the ice like flexing at the like that's meathead stuff. It's buddy. It's exactly what's needed.
It's exactly
you're doing exactly what's needed. It is a compliment. It is a compliment.
Eki told me this year that Gadjovich tries to fight every game. Obviously, he does it, but he said he's one of the like he's never turning down a fight. He's always asking guys, but guys don't want to fight him. Because I was kind of like, what's this guy's deal? He looks very effective. He's like, dude, he's a nail gun. He wants to fight. He wants to be in the battle every night, but he just doesn't get as many because there's not as many guys.
There's no takers for guys.
Well,
like
who would
that.
fight him on the Oilers? Like willingly? Nobody. Not willingly.
I think
nobody
I think
to.
Trent Frederick should challenge him.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I don't think Trent Frederick has made a big enough impact these playoffs to not do that.
Biz,
he's got to lay somebody
I was just looking. Oh, it's no six. The other, I couldn't think of the other fourth line guy who's
he's a big dude. He plays hard. He's not tough, but he's.
I mean, luckily he got that penalty for game one. That's how we got the dub in overtime, right? The over the glass penalty. But you bring up Frederick and you bring up the depth of the Oilers, who, and I quickly brought this up that right now it's like you got through the first 3 rounds based on your depth. And you saw what these guys were able to bring. You saw that like Arvidsson gets in the lineup. He's playing great. You got Connor Brown. You got Frederick. And Frederick probably hasn't done as much as the other depth guys throughout the series, but now they've all disappeared. Podkolzin, like I mentioned, like at no point in the first 3 rounds were you seeing him get run over at the offensive blue line, then getting it and turning it over for a breakaway against. So I don't know how you switch that up. I don't know if their depth is just now outclassed and it hadn't been against Vegas and Dallas and LA. But if they don't get those guys going, like all we talked about was that McDavid and Draisaitl hadn't had to win them series. And now it looks like they might have to. And I don't know if they can against this team.
Well, that's why we say last game was a beatdown, because the top guys couldn't get anything going. Leon had no shots on net, but then the bottom six got beat down too. It was like a full beat down. Like you can't really nitpick. Like everybody played poorly. So you can say that about everyone. You can say, yeah, the bottom six has to help out. You just can't have it all at the same time. Like you can have your top guys get cold a bit and get smothered. Barkov doesn't really have any points in this series, right? But you can't have your top guys get smothered, have Hyman out, have Nuge hurt, and then have nothing from your six.
Yeah,
your bottom six.
They just got,
it's a perfect storm right now.
I'll tell you what, too, Barkov not like lighting it up offensively. Keith and I, we took like 3 shifts in a row last night. We're like, let's completely ISO cam him. Every single play is the correct play. Like it doesn't matter if he's like not scoring. I mean, he's rushing it up through the neutral zone. He's giving a little backhand sauce right on a guy's tape. He has it in the offense. He had in the defensive zone that time. He's under pressure, puts it off the wall to himself, high flip out. Like he never makes mistakes. He really does it.
That's why you're not a writer, because you see that. Because we see that. You don't have to look at a stat page and be like, no points. You watch him, you're like, he's effective. He's affecting the game in a good way. But the people that are like, oh, he's not scoring, like they're just looking at the stat sheet after. Oh, Barkov's not playing good. Well, no, he's playing amazing.
Yeah.
Would you have Marchand in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, we were talking about this. Were we talking about this the other day?
I don't know if I was talking about with
Elliot and I had this debate. I said not yet. And there's another person who's a really good player, and I think he said the same thing. Could be the best player ever, and not yet, because
once he gets 1,000 points.
If he gets
like
this
20
Stanley
away.
Cup, but he's got no one. Well, like what about Getzlaf? Is Getzlaf a Hall of Famer?
I think both of them.
So why? What's the difference? Like
I think they're both
1 cup each in their rookie year, right? Olympics for Getzy. I don't think Marchand has an Olympics. No individual awards for either, right? And I think Getzy's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
Perry's a for sure Hall of Famer because he's won everything.
He's got the MVP
and he's got the heart. But like, don't you think that kind of factors in a little bit? Like, you have to have maybe an individual award.
I agree. I agree with that. When the other argument is the individual awards and all that. But I also have and maybe it's because I played against them. Like, it's more like when I hear a name, right away I'm like yes or no.
Yeah.
And Marchand and Getzlaf are yes.
Yeah.
And Perry's yes.
Well, Marchand might get 500 goals, maybe, right? He's got like 430 right now or something like that. So yeah, 500 goals, 1,000 points, Stanley Cup, maybe 2 Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, so Bergeron has how many Selkies?
6,
like
5.
A bunch of Selkies. But if you look at just the numbers, right, you wouldn't be like yes right away. But it is a yes right away.
Play against him and you know.
Play,
yeah. But like I think of when I think of Bergeron and Getzlaf, I'm like, I think Getzlaf would have been Bergeron if he were on those Bruins teams.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, I'm not thinking of Patrice Bergeron as like up here and Getzlaf down here.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just playing against him. And maybe people think I'm crazy saying that because he's out in Anaheim and you didn't see him. But having seen that guy in one playoff, I'm like, this is one of the best players I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So the Marchand thing, I think Hall of Famer. I really and this is adding like a different element to it. Like the 3 surgeries, the trade as a captain from the Bruins, and then taking a little bit of time and now just taking over a playoff.
I thought that this would have like basically got him in at this point. If they win the Stanley Cup and he has the run, I think what does he have? 18 points right now in these playoffs.
Now, mind you, he had a quote that backs up your side of the argument against Gary Bettman, where he said the tax stuff would for sure affect his free agent signing. So that's a player in the league that's making it clear that it does matter. But Gary doesn't want to hear that question.
You can't answer that question.
No.
Start World War III amongst the owners right now.
Let's go.
You started that, eh?
I didn't really start it. It's just like it just like seems like a thing, right? Like it's like now these guys are able to keep these good players because they're offering them $2 million less, but they're making the same. So it's just like, you do that throughout the course of a whole roster. And before you got here, we mentioned the fact that 15 years ago nobody was complaining. It's like, well, the cap was $44 million.
Yeah,
there wasn't.
So he said
there wasn't the internet either.
There's a difference.
He said, why do people not talk about the Canadian teams? Everyone's like, oh, the Canadian teams are at a disadvantage. When you're in Canada, you get paid. I was in Vancouver for 10 years. I got paid in US money. And then I lived in Canada, Canadian expenses. So I got back then like 25% extra right away. Now it's 40. So why is there like, it's the same advantage. You're playing in Canada right now in Toronto. You convert your $1 million signing bonus and you're getting 1.4, right?
No,
Before taxes.
Yeah.
For the guys living
So
in
there's
Canada.
advantage.
Yeah.
There's all these little advantages everywhere, and they're all subject to change. So that's why it's hard to react to it right now, I think. But it is like, it looks bad because the South has been dominating for, the last 5-6 years.
Well, it's also the only two teams in the Eastern Conference.
I also factor in that like 15 years ago, the fans didn't have access to the players through social media like they do now. And so just with the how much like quote unquote scrutiny, I don't think that they want it as much. Like they're dealing with that in Canada, so they're like, fuck it, not only am I making more or like the same, you guys get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah,
You're in Florida and you have
my brain's not
two reporters after most practices and games.
Yeah.
And you're in Toronto and you have 30.
You turn it over if you're a Leafs defenseman, like your fucking parents are getting death threats. If you do it in Florida, like you're fucking going to the fucking
or Vegas.
I got a
Vegas is
question.
always buzzing around there too. Same thing. Same advantage.
What trade do you think Boston fans hurts more, the Jumbo one or the Marchand one? Even though Jumbo obviously had his whole
the Marchand one right now by a mile.
Things,
they were able, and the argument that they'll say is they were able to get Chara and Savard based on that. It was kind of the beginning of it. Then they got their Stanley Cup. Right now, they're watching their captain light up the league.
You just perked up, AG.
Light up the league against their most playing for their most like hated rival the past few years. So this one's just a kick in the dick. Hey, this is not your last question, but I'm going to get the ad out of the way. It's the Roback last question.
Oh, here we go.
Because we don't want you to leave yet. Use the code Chiclets on roback.com for a generous 20% off your first purchase through the end of the week. That's CHICLETS on RHOBACK.com. All polos, shorts, swim trunks, and hoodies, 20% off, promo code Chiclets. Do the Oilers win game 4?
I think they do.
I love it.
I do.
And Pasha says same things. They're going to roll
in
game
Florida.
This is where
the 2 days off helps, right, Juice?
The legend, huge reset.
Yes.
Nobody's at the ring today.
Yes.
This is where kind of the legend of McDavid and Draisaitl take over. This is where they have to one of those games where they just will, like in the LA series, like they're not going to lose. Like they will not be denied. If they're the only two going early, they'll be the only two going early, and they'll drag everyone into the game. Like that one game in LA in the first period, they were the only two guys going. Remember, they scored the goal with like 30 seconds left in the period on the faceoff play.
Game 5.
McDavid, it was earlier. McDavid like undressed everyone, passed it to Draisaitl, and it was 3-1 going into the intermission. I don't even think they won that game, but I think it's going to be one of those type of games where those two will not be denied, and get on my back and follow me. If not, we'll win it on our own.
There's nothing I want more than that series going back to Edmonton.
We deserve a 2-2 series.
Yes, we do.
No, we really do. And for me, like 3-1. Yeah, they won three in a row last year. Like I don't know. Basically, the only thing I'm looking at, because I'm way ahead of myself, my brain is all over the map. If they somehow lose 4, they're gonna win 5. Then you just got to win 1 game on the road, game 6. But that's like how. So that actually goes into you played in the finals. That's like the madness of the finals, and it's more with fans because I want to ask your opinion as a player. Like the highs and lows, buddy. After game 1, it's like we're gonna win the Stanley Cup. Then you lose game 2. All right, kind of go back there a little bit nervous. Then you lose game 3. You're like, I don't think we can win. I think it's over. But we win game 4. We're going back home for game 5. We're gonna win the Stanley Cup. As a player, now you guys were never not leading the series against the Bruins till game 7, but you don't feel the same highs and lows that the fans do. Would you agree as a player?
No, and I was talking to Perry about that the other day. It's funny. I'm like, oh, you played in how many cups have you played in now? 5. He goes 6. Like corrected me right away. And I said, now that like you're older, you're 40, you're at the end of your career, and you're playing in like your 6th Stanley Cup final, do you actually like look around and kind of enjoy it? Because as a player, I didn't enjoy any of it. I didn't see any of it. Your tunnel vision, you're thinking about all that kind of stuff. And then like the last like 5-6 years been working these Stanley Cup finals, and you look around, you're like, wow, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much going on, and you appreciate it more. And he's like, yeah, like I'm starting to like be able to appreciate it more because he's older and he's had the experience over and over again. So yeah, like when you're in it though, especially like earlier in your career or middle of your career, you're like tunnel vision. You're not thinking about anything. You're not reading anything. You're not, at least that's the way we were. Now, I don't know about these players.
Yeah, maybe
now.
they are.
I feel like they're aware of
do.
everything.
Yeah,
like,
they are.
I feel like we asked McDavid about the pass to Ekholm, the Ekholm goal at home, and I thought the pass was going to Evander Kane.
I thought it was too.
And we had a big debate about it on air, and everybody was against me. So then Elliot asked him the next day in the media scrums, and he started laughing. Him and Nuge started laughing, and he didn't answer it. So like he was aware.
Yeah,
he was
said
aware
it got
of the
to who it needed to get.
He knew.
To.
Yeah, he kind of
What
just.
you're saying as in he knew the argument on the broadcast?
I feel like, yeah, of course he did, because he's
Or
like,
he knew the question was coming.
he's like, yeah, I'm not going to answer that, but what I'll say is the end result's the only thing that matters.
Yeah,
that's how he answered.
I would have
it.
been fucking going.
Well, it was great though. It was great because then it keeps our argument going, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like the players are a little bit more aware now, but I wasn't.
He didn't
I was
answer,
like,
eh?
in the
That's
moment.
weird.
So
Get 'em.
another storyline I'll say for the Oilers is, and a guy who's been incredible that nobody saw this coming, was Klingberg. He's been unbelievable. He was horrendous last night. I mean, horrendous. I think there's a chance you see Stetcher come back in against Florida. Like he's an animal, and this is nothing against Klingberg, but maybe, and Stetcher's smaller, but he is more intense in ways. Like that play last night on the Reinhart goal, Klingberg has complete control of the puck. He's going behind the net. Barkov does a great job.
He
Now,
got jammed up by the ref. a
so
little,
that's the get out of the way, ref. But
it's a
still,
ref show.
right when he wheeled the net,
That's his fault. Though.
You
He-
see-
he skated into the ref.
exactly.
Yeah.
And he's skating around the net. Barkov has the angle, buddy. You just go off the glass in front of the ref. He skates directly into the ref. Now Barkov did kind of get that free hand around him. Could have been a call, but I don't. Was he? I think he was -3 after the maybe the first.
Should they remove refs off the ice and just put them in the crowd?
I
on the
mean,
blue
I
lines
think
and
They should put them on like a pulley system and hover them over the play so they're just looking down.
drones. The
That'd be
drones could probably
amazing.
do it.
Yeah.
Like rappelling down.
I love that idea.
You ever notice with guys like Klingberg, like Swedish defensemen that aren't very physical, they only go after Swedes or Finns. Like
In the
Klingberg will
scrums.
like go after Lusterainen. I know there's a lot of them on Florida,
Yeah.
but he only go after.
Buddy system.
They never go after Canadians or Americans. It's just I don't know. I
You
don't know
ever
what
see
it is.
Klingberg
It's like they
grab
like kind of
Gadjovich?
hate each other.
I'm gonna notice that now that you mentioned.
watch
it.
whenever he chops somebody. It's a Finn or a Swede.
Yeah.
It's just like he feels more comfortable going after one of those kind of guys.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I think again, everybody had a bad day. How you gonna pick out one guy who's been a big part of you getting here and say, hey, because he has the ability to just throw pills up the middle and make great passes
That is
and
true.
give you offense, which you're not getting a ton of. I don't think you. I love Stetch too. Go 11-7.
Oh, so, yeah.
But I think Stetch gives you that like that compete and that like just steady. But I
Yeah.
think you still need, and that's why maybe you do 11-7 because if Klingberg isn't going, and you know when he's not going, you could tell early the passes aren't getting there.
Yep.
Then yeah, maybe play more of the steady Stetcher. But if he's going, you give him a little bit of leash because you need to get the puck to these guys in the neutral zone. Like they're a rush team, the Oilers, and Klingberg's kind of your best bet to get the puck. Him and Rouge.
And Nurse was really good when he was playing with Stetch, right?
Yeah.
They were like
All year,
yeah,
basically. That was his guy who like he was never
the LA series that he had a couple goals too. Like Nurse was getting some points. Like
Do you find that when you played, like, because you played on all three pairs throughout your career, right?
Yeah.
When you're playing on the top pair with, like, did you play with Ekblad?
for like 2 games.
So
Here.
say you're playing with Ekblad and you're like, okay, you're both really good defensemen. And then you start playing, they put you to kind of insulate the new guy or the young guy
Yeah.
or the seventh defenseman. Do you feel like I felt like I would play better? Like, oh, they want me to protect this.
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
And I felt like more responsibility. And it's almost like that's what Nurse was like. He had Stetcher, the 7D, hadn't played in a while, and he kind of like elevated his D. He's like, I know I'm the guy that's going to protect. I just felt like he played so well with Stetcher.
As an opponent, what would you be making of like Paul Maurice's press conferences and like his like all the jokes and stuff? It's driving this guy mental.
Oh yeah, it's a
They
set.
should
It's
be.
a set at the Comedy Cellar.
They shouldn't be watching though. I don't know. Like he's entertaining.
He's
He's
fucking
great at it.
entertaining. I
It's
love
good
it.
way
It's good for
Speaker.
us.
He's
Yeah.
a great speaker. I had him at the World Championships. He ran the D. Loved him. Like he's great for the game.
Oh, for sure. It's just like he's just kind of getting rattled. now at this point.
what would irritate you about them?
That he just keeps beating us and beating
Yeah,
us
I
and that's
And
why
then
I'm mad.
joking.
Buddy, if I was a Panthers fan, I'd be loving it. I'd be like, this is unbelievable. We got Jerry Seinfeld as our coach. This is
Yeah,
fucking
but
awesome.
he wasn't joking after game one. Like I walked by him before the
He was
presser.
pissed.
Oh, he was just like, no, but he just wasn't the same thing.
Stoic.
He went up and he did his media scrum and he was like, wasn't telling stories, wasn't joking around. So
Yep.
it's a product of winning.
Mhm.
Right.
When you're winning, you're
A
feeling
little
it.
looser.
As we're pumping Marchand's tires as we have been, and we brought up Perry just briefly, like it's crazy that he's doing this still. I mean, you mentioned his shot not being that good. He's 40 years old. I think he's as good as he's been since his like MVP season right now. Like, and he's not like jacked. You know what I mean? He's not like some.
Well, that's an understatement. He's not jacked.
Exactly.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it's just you mentioned the little stick fakes and the hockey IQ. But when you were with him, that had to be 8 years ago? Were you playing with him? Little less?
2015 to 2018.
Yeah, so 8 years.
You remember his warm up before games? What he would do?
Oh,
He'd walk around
with his bar, like right next to him on the stool.
But he like walk around with his hoodie on, and then he just start doing like high legs, like kicking the roof, and then he would like do the splits, and he would like stick handle, and like he's very limber, like he can do the splits.
Yeah, so my understanding is
a
he
lot.
stretches for about an hour a day now just to stay very limber, especially in his old age.
Puts on his 2 knee braces and gets gears up.
Still wears 2 knee braces.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't played with him for a while, but I think a lot of guys do though. You had an MCL injury. Most guys wear the knee braces because they're good knee braces now. So you can
they
wear them
don't
on your
hinder
shin
you as
pad.
much.
Don joys?
Yeah, they don't hinder you, and they kind of keep everything. I wore them on to the end of my career, and
I had a few Don joys in my day.
Weren't those the old
That's what they're called.
shoulder pads, or were those like remember those shoulder pad football pad where they doused? Remember those ones?
Daou.
They were just like straight up linebacker.
Yeah, Daou,
shoulder
and I think
pads.
they're coming back as a hockey company. They sent me
Really?
a pair of wheels.
Oh
They got
God.
skates
don't
coming.
change your shoulder pads though. Like I had
never.
the same shoulder things from college, and then just a new body, or like vice versa, the old body, like the old coho.
Yep.
And that like nobody changes their shoulder.
No,
pads. If
Ovi's
you
still
a good
got the
pair.
same ones. On.
Elbow
use it for
pads,
20
shoulder
years.
pads, shin pads. You're not like you're literally using them for your whole career.
Yeah.
I mean, and Crosby has the
But-
same cup
But
since he was
Perry,
7.
yeah, like how so he kind of went through like a little time there where he was basically 1-year deals. Like if he had a bad year, he would have to retire.
Yep.
Like you know what it gets like when you get to the end of your career, you're 37, 38, 39. You have one bad year, they're like you're washed up. You lost a step, you can't play. So every year it's like a 1-year tryout, and he's come through every year with either goals or like having that great role. And it's impressive to see because he's playing so much higher in the lineup than he was like 3-4 years ago. He was a fourth liner with Pat Maroon there for a while.
Yeah.
And he just did what he had to do, right? More physicality when he's a fourth liner, net front, scrums, a few fights. And then now he's playing higher up in the lineup and he's producing. Like he just does whatever it takes.
He's very sticky.
But he just
Like,
knows.
that's the term that Talk uses. Like
Yeah.
he gets it stuck on the boards. Like, he's just like you're trying to use the wall as a D-man. He'll close it off. It'll get caught in his skates. He'll take your stick away, and then he'll wait for support, and then boom, out back.
I think he
back
waits
playing
that
offense.
split second better than anyone.
The hesitation.
It's literally half a second that most guys get rid of it, that he holds it with a little delay, and it all of a sudden it opens up everything. And somehow, like I never saw him still doing it because not has never been a great skater. So you're like, oh, he's got a year left, and no, it's wild to see.
Watch all of his points in the playoffs and goals. Everything is, like you said, a hesitation before the shot.
Yeah.
Everyone is that little, like, he's the worm.
And the tie and
Kind of
goal
like
game too.
Reinhardt has stole it from him, like that
Yeah.
weird shot, like that kind of just gets there.
The tying goal in game 2 by Perry, was it loose? It was like the perfect coverage. Like he had his stick.
Oh,
It was you can't be
I don't-
disappointed as a coach.
I
It's
still don't
somehow
know how he got that.
I know.
Crazy.
I know it's crazy.
Watch when he comes down the wing and he's so
He does
slow.
this one.
And he comes down the wing, the D's got a gap, and
Yeah.
it looks like he's not even getting it inside the blue line. And then sometimes he starts doing this stuff. Next thing you know, he's behind the net because the D's like, holy shit, like, what do I
What
do?
was
Like,
that?
this guy's just like wiggling around,
Did you see the press conference with his kid? And they were like, have you contemplated retirement? And his kid was like,
He said 1 more year. Mom says 1 more year.
oh, really? Yeah. So
Blakeney
he's
says
not
1
even
more year.
planning on.
I know,
know.
there's
I know,
no
Blake.
part of him.
He's
like,
going to
I'm
sign
done.
in Florida next year and then play another 4 years after that.
I mean, boys, there's a
Um,
chance he's get the chance to lose 5 straight Stanley
Oh,
Cup
that's
finals.
tough. That's tough.
That's like-
last thing before we bring in Liam McHugh, the bus driver
Oh,
of the TNT.
Leo,
He's behind here. We're doing a live.
you can
right now.
drive the bus for this show too, please, Liam.
Yeah,
Please.
take it over.
Bieksa's going to be in the pool.
His has egg farts now though after his bagel sandwich.
Is that what that smell is?
with
Yes,
all
he
the, with
just
all the
dropped
sesame
off my
seeds.
brother.
That was his
He'll
breath.
open up his legs too. He's a sick.
That's
Why?
my breath. Breaking news.
Why?
Calder Trophy. Lane Hudson. That just broke. What do you
Yeah.
make of that? You like
Wow.
watching his game? This
I liked, yeah, I do. I liked all 3 of them, though. I thought all 3 of them you could make a case for, but Montreal making the playoffs gives him the edge over Dustin Wolf and Celebrini. Celebrini, 18 years old and scores 25 goals. What were you doing at 18?
Celebrini still hasn't
I
turned.
had like the
19.
7-Eleven
I
at
was eating
Welland.
my burgers
No, you
Yeah.
were you were
Playing pogs.
you were eating mid at a
Eating-
strip club. You were a bouncer at a strip club when you were
I
that
just
age,
think
weren't
I
you?
just think as a
I
defenseman,
was
like we were all
19, 20.
rookies at one point, like to dominate the way that he did, and like you said, get his team into the playoffs as a defenseman, that trumps what everyone
and
like.
a small defenseman.
Yeah,
and
he is.
And that last
Suck.
15 games, he was playing like 25 minutes. Some games, I remember one night they played against Colorado. He's playing out there against McKinnon.
Yeah.
I think he had like 2 assists, 25 minutes. So
I mean, didn't he have the most points by a rookie?
Most assists.
Lyle Odeline was
Most
one of them. or
most
maybe
assists
Chelios?
ever by a rookie defenseman, or was
Yeah.
it second?
Second, I think no, not Murphy.
Yeah,
So
it might have been Larry Murphy.
Phil Housley.
I don't know.
Larry Murphy.
that sounds more
Yeah.
accurate. But you know what I heard about him is even towards the end of the year, so like rookie putting up big points, playing the most, you think he would have like a little bit of like an arrogance to him, like not picking up the pucks
No, he's
anymore,
not
not
like that.
going on. He went on first every day still towards the end of the season, and he got off the ice last. Like he still
I heard they had
acted
to,
like a rookie,
kick him off the ice.
even though he was, their number one D. Like I love that stuff. That's
He
cool.
tied him 60 assists. So he's tied for the record for most assists in the history of the league by a
who?
rookie defenseman with Larry Murphy. And so that's like give him the rookie of the year. Now, interesting that we talked about Skinner's skates. Something Lane Hudson had mentioned that has made him the skater he is he would go out and skate on the ice with no laces in his skate.
Oh, stop.
Biz.
What?
You should have done that.
He would go around when he was younger and he'd skate with no laces in his skate.
Yeah, I think that all the brothers did that.
Okay,
Like,
well, I mean, if it can work for him, it
but
can
he
work for
fucking
Stuart.
tied him up for the game, Whit.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think they're tied super tight. If he was training with no laces and the tongues out of his skates falling around, he still hops around like he does now. And
Start Pickard.
mind you, like Celebrini,
But not in a mean way, but like in an inclusive way.
Yeah.
Hey, I used to go through skates a lot, and like Biz would be sitting next to me in the locker room, and he'd be like, "Hey, Stan, can I get new skates?" And Stan would be like walking out, he'd be like, "Yeah, no." He'd be like, "Biz, you're
And then-
one a year, dude."
And then I
he was
got
trying to sell them
and
on
then
eBay.
I got new ones, and then I put them in the oven, and then I got distracted, and then 45 minutes later I came back and the new ones were melted. I had to go back to my old ones. No. Remember that?
Yeah.
Was Biz's helmet too high on his head when he played? Like it
I
felt
don't-
like it sat up
Hey,
high.
thanks
What
for
was his
joining.
thigh?
Hey, everybody, thank Kevin Bieksa for joining us. Thanks for coming by.
No, he had a sunburn on his forehead, so he did. Juice, don't leave me hanging. Please don't leave me hanging. Thank you very much. You're the best. You're the best.
That was great.
We will now bring in. I guess the main questions we have for Liam McHugh is how the hell do you work with Paul Bissonnette? I mean, when this guy showed up with that sunburn
the pool.
yesterday, you must have been just talk about the sunburn that you saw Biz have. I mean,
What's up, brother?
you didn't dress the same.
I
as
thought
Juice.
I thought Liam was gonna be no sleeves too. He's ripped too, sneaky ripped.
Yeah.
I heard Bieksa was here and they told me he looked great. So I was in there just pounding out push-ups before I
Oh,
I'm
did you?
exhausted.
Little
right
push-up
now.
pyramid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yans's kitchen.
Uh,
Yans's wife walks in. Who
Well,
the
they're
hell is
looking
this
at
guy,
Army
Mike?
and Murr. It's like looking at me. It's like we look great. Look at these guys.
Oh,
I feel like I'm diagnosing something different every day with Biz.
Exactly.
I
Like-
mean, like the gout thing, which we'll go into later. But then he walks into the green room yesterday. And I don't know if it's a joke. Like he walked in, you were
I was so
red. Like this is nothing. Like what you're
Yeah.
looking at
They
right
did
now
a good
is
job
nothing.
with your makeup.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. Jamie won an Emmy. Yeah,
Oh,
they gave her an
nice.
Emmy for
That's
makeup.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Actually,
Yeah.
got her an award.
And you didn't believe it. I'm like, what is wrong with you? And you're like, oh, was it bad? It's not bad, right? You look over, you go to the mirror.
So you don't consider sunscreen at in the Florida sun yesterday.
I put a little bit on my face. I have like a special one, but obviously I go in the ocean. It probably got rinsed off. And then, I was out there for 2.5 hours. And when I showered and then put my moisturizer on to go to the rink, it wasn't bad. That must have like accelerated it. By the time I walk in there, like an hour because of the drive, like I saw Liam's face. I'm like, what? And he's like, did you lay out in the sun? And I went and looked in the mirror. I'm like, oh, fuck. I am in one.
And then everybody that enters the room, just like greeting everyone, then there's like everyone's taking it back. We've like a couple execs.
It looks
in there
like he
that are
just did like the
Jesus.
Tortorella skating test. You're like,
Pink Whitney
So
face.
actually, I noticed Panger's had a really good tan lately.
I said it to him last night.
I go,
Yeah.
fuck, you got to go. He goes, I'm taking peptides.
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 They give you tan?
And then when Bush walked in, he goes, "Oh no, it looks like Biz got a hold of Panger's peptides."
He took them all.
Oh yeah. So he's like, "Oh, I OD'd on peptides."
Bush is hilarious.
Oh, Bush.
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
I
Like the
didn't
most
know
subtly funny guy
Yeah.
out there. By the way, did you see him banging on the glass yesterday? So
When he
the
was getting
water.
squared,
Yeah, he had enough of that.
Yeah,
huh?
he just gave a little. Yeah, that's enough.
He's
guy.
a crazy.
He's also
person.
a big dude.
Yeah.
Like,
That was Wallman, correct? Doing that?
yes.
Yeah, and he's like, I think, yeah, he was the one that cut the shit.
Yeah.
Wallman.
He had
yeah.
enough.
I'm getting my suit
His
wet.
wires crossed. Like,
Bush almost beat me up my first training camp.
What?
We did a drill that you had to like rim the puck around, and obviously it was my first training camp. I got a little too excited. I rimmed it a little too hard. He chases me around. This drill's for the goalie. Chase, I'm like, whoa. I was literally, I was gonna go home.
He had enough of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bush.
Yeah.
you get
he's
him on
not-
edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
He's that guy, but he's also like the funniest guy. Can do an impression of every single person.
Well,
Oh,
you
Yeah.
mentioned already. So you were the one that originally were like, Biz, you're eating 20 ounces of steak. You know, we're going on
night.
13 nights in a row now.
Oh,
Like,
easy.
so you like maybe before you even mentioned it, say after 4 nights in a row of a 12 ouncer and then an 8 ouncer, you probably were like, this is weird. And then finally decided to say something.
Well, listen, I mean, everyone laughs right away because it's Biz, and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, but you know,
Yeah, this is
seriously,
weird.
like we had a couple of those days where it was 4 game days, right? So you
Yeah.
get there early and then you
A steak a game.
and that was what it was. You know, like we'd get back and it was third game, and I swear you had eaten 3 steaks
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point, but you're in great shape, you're healthy.
But he's
You're not gonna-
injured too. Like, it's like
But then he looks at me and it's like talking to, honestly, I got 2 boys there. You're my third, all right, because I have an 12-year-old, a 10-year-old.
Claim him on your.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
he's
good.
he's bleeding me dry.
Yeah.
too. But he looked at me like that. He goes, "Oh, why? Is that bad? Like, should you not do that? Is that too much?" Yeah,
Yeah.
it's way too much.
Yeah.
And I love also that I think you were probably more annoyed that I was right.
oh,
then
this
you-
was before the
No,
goal. I thought you
was
said it.
more.
Oh
No,
this
no,
was
he
well
called him
before.
out before. Yeah.
Oh no,
Oh, you had warned.
I had concerns.
Dr.
for his
Migos.
health.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was probably like, "What are you talking about, bro?"
2 semesters of biology at Nassau Community College, and I knew that he had gout. So
He's like, what does
Yeah.
Liam know? I'm 4 inches
Yeah.
taller
No, he
than him.
brought it up. He's like, "Have you ever gotten gout?" And I'm like, "No." And like, I was annoyed that you asked. I was just more kind of like, "Oh, you got my wheels spinning." I'm trying.
were
to
you
work-
annoyed that I was right?
No, I fucking.
He's like, I'm gonna prove him wrong.
He's like,
in
"My
one more
foot's
steak."
swollen because the girl sucked on it last night." Yeah.
I literally, because I thought I broke my foot. So when I called the doc, he's like, "Hey, describe to me the pain. Send me the picture." And he goes, "I don't think you broke your foot. I think you have gout." And I was like, "Liam McHugh."
Hey, but
Fucking
how would you
warned
have
me.
thought you nothing happened
did
to your
you
foot to
smack-
break
did
it?
you-
I worked out a couple days in a row, and I
Like a
was
stress fracture,
in the gym,
maybe.
And I thought maybe it was like a little stress fracture, and then it amplified because I flew, and then the swelling, and then
No, there was a ribeye in your toe.
And I think as Edzo described it, or somebody described it, like they couldn't even put a sheet over it. Like if they went to sleep and the sheet touched it, it'd be like, ah.
Oh,
So yeah, so I texted you right away. So thanks, Dr. Liam, among being my second father. But I want to dive into your career. How many Stanley Cup finals now? Is this like
I was part.
what was your first
if-
one with
if I-
NBC?
Bieksa, so like 2011.
Oh,
The
wow.
Bruins.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I just really started there, and I only got to do a couple games. Dan Patrick was still doing stuff, so it was
Dan Patrick
Wow.
was doing NHL games.
Yeah, so that was his final year.
Remember when we were on
And
OLN?
it was right after that. So it was
Dude,
like
that was
Versus
insane.
plus
Versus.
NBC,
Yep.
and I got to do a couple. So I did the first 2, and then Vancouver was like in full celebration mode. Right? It was like they'd won the cup. They'd swept them 2-0, and it was awesome. I didn't have kids. My wife came out to Vancouver, and we were done. We were just like vacationing there, and then to watch as a fan the rest of that one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and see it go down. And
Wow.
then hear that the plane was taken off and flying from Vancouver while basically it felt like riots were happening.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel there was.
Yeah,
it didn't
exactly.
feel like
Yeah,
it. There
I
was. Yeah.
spoke
so you
above them.
flew out the night the riots?
No,
were-
so I was done. Like I was back home, and like now I'm watching all this. Like, what the hell just happened in this series? So I've been doing it since then. The bubble ones wasn't really involved. One of the 2, but we did everything.
So when you
Super.
found out though that NBC Sports was done, like you had to have like a worry, right? Did you already
Oh.
know TNT was going to hire you? Like, what am I going to do now?
No, not at all. I was like
Wow.
terrified, done. Like and I found out like around the time that we were losing the NHL that I was basically not coming back at all. And I did like football, I did college football,
Yeah.
NFL. So yeah, no, like we had a house, you got kids, you don't know what you're gonna do. it was rough, man. And then people were getting picked off, like, oh, they're going to ESPN, which is like the worst because people are like trying to tell you what's happening and where they're going, but also,
and you're like, I got nothing right
my
now.
God,
I don't want to hear this.
Yeah, I was like,
July 1st, nobody's calling you, and your
it was,
buddies are
awful.
telling you their offers.
But like I say, like, I mean, a big thing that worked for me was the guys at NBC. I think they, you know, Jonesy specifically, Edzo, those guys went in there and they're like, if you're looking for a host, like, like, don't overthink this.
That's
like,
awesome.
Bring him
He's
down.
done it.
Yeah, and they also, like, you know, I think you're gonna get more out of him here than you got on NBC. They're like, he, you know, it was just a different vibe there.
Yeah.
They were looking for something different, but if you just want him to be him, like, I think it's gonna work out a lot better for you. They brought me down and it was awesome. We got to do like a little rehearsal together.
Yeah, it was him and Ace. Like,
yeah.
When you did your like tryout, remember you went for like you'd already been hired. Or
yes,
okay,
but like just did like papers haven't been signed, but I had been
So then they're gonna have you run through some different people. Like,
exactly.
Okay.
But
so when
we hadn't met before that.
we hadn't.
No,
Like you want to
I thought maybe we'd cross paths.
I think
or
maybe like online or something.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I was
Dark
obviously
web,
nervous.
some chat room.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
everyone meets nowadays online.
Yeah.
But I got the email. I thought it was Foles fucking with me. And then, yeah, sure enough, I fly down to Atlanta and it was him and Ace in there. And they kind of did like a little trial bit. And the rest is history, man. It's been an awesome ride.
But I remember that, like, and you were great because you were exactly who you are. You came in,
Yep.
no one like tried to be anything they weren't. And I think you butchered someone's name during a highlight.
Yep.
But then you
Riley
called yourself
Smith.
out.
Yeah.
It was Riley Smith.
Exactly. You got
Fuck off, dude. So good.
Hey, that's Dan Brown, bitch.
What?
but I remember you did that and you're like, is that, and you, it's like how we do the show now. You're like, is that how you say his name? And I was like, no, it's not how you say it.
Yeah.
And then we sat there and like, we just like were silent for a while. And this is like while the audition's happening, we're looking at each other, just nodding. Like, I'm like, so what are you doing the rest of the summer now? You don't have the job. And we just started talking about this, and we just went back and forth. And like, you know, I
The
think
whole highlight went by. We didn't talk about
didn't
hockey
talk
the
about
rest.
anything that was happening. And I think like a lot of places they would have been like, "Ooh, these two clowns,"
But they liked it.
but they like that.
But
We're very
like,
blessed to be at a
yeah.
company that,
Yeah.
that doesn't take themselves too seriously and yet are so professional. And I mean, they are so first class. It's even hard.
And I get that. Like, listen, I'm gonna blow smoke, but like, I'm not blowing smoke. Like, I'm gonna pump your tires. Like, I feel that way about you. Like, I feel very lucky that I get to work.
Oh,
And,
Liam,
like,
right back at
you
you.
guys wanna
I say
kiss?
you have the
it's,
in most.
it's a chemistry thing, and you never know how it's gonna work. But like, this has been like working with you has been a huge part of my career now. So,
Hey,
No,
right back at you. Your motor's insane. Anybody I talk to, I'm like, I don't know how this guy does it. He's reading off the prompter. He's cutting jokes. He's putting up with my bullshit. It's just you deserve like 20 Emmys for putting up with my nonsense.
Let's talk about like this year with the Leafs. Like it seemed like people were really turning on them. Like I think we all had enough of them. Everyone's like Keith was ready to. Keith drummed his face into oblivion. Like you had to be like, all right, we need the Leafs to lose. Like this guy is.
Yeah,
like,
I was kidding.
He's lost in the sauce right now.
He was wearing the ambassador jacket.
yeah, the ambassador jacket with the yellow shirt, the tie. And first of all, he's wearing the yellow shirt every night.
Every
too.
night.
Yeah, just
Every night.
like
It
not
was getting a
washing
little
it.
stinky.
Yeah.
I think by the
Bettman
time
could've walked away.
chirped you last night.
He did. He gave it to you.
I think by the time I lit the candles, the panel was like, "We need these guys to get drunk tonight."
The whole world was
They
like, I need either the Maple Leafs to lose or this guy to get fired. That's where we were at.
Yeah, we had like a full parade planned for you had they won that series. You
That's a
didn't know
perfect
that?
description of the
Like,
Leafs.
Yeah, we had in the studio like a full parade route. They were gonna follow you around.
so
People were gonna be
good.
throwing confetti.
Steak,
Yeah,
A1
Steaks.
sauce, he's
They were
drinking
throwing
A1.
steaks at you. Yeah.
Oh, no.
yeah. So
Now I'm a vegetarian with no testosterone and a sunburn.
I guess I look at this camera angle as I sit here.
Oh, I just
Like,
love the fans
could-
love it.
and I can't help. I got to tell you guys a story. So yesterday when he went to the beach and
Oh, you did?
got his sunburn. I don't know if you heard about that. He starts sending us pictures because Anthony Carter played in Edmonton. There was always this thing about Ace Beach, right?
HBs.
So he brought sand to his apartment and he had this like beach party.
What?
I don't know. He was living it up.
He was on a 6th floor of an apartment building and he craned up a hot tub and then he put like the tiki
Yes.
torches and then put sand on the balcony. And as they're after hours for the party in Edmonton, the bars closing 1:30. Hey, everybody go back to Ace Beach.
So
That's pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
Wow.
now the guy's telling dad
Unbelievable.
jokes like
Yeah.
nonstop, but like that's how he was living back then. So he's trying to take some pictures without Ace knowing it, and he's on the beach and he's sending pictures. every picture is worse than the one before.
Just his
And
fucking
most of them are full on just crotch.
like full dick shot.
Like,
Yeah,
because he's got his
this
legs
isn't
like
Raya.
Biz is taking him from here. One is he's turned over just his ass. Like it's and he's sending it to me and the producer and the director. And I think we're like, they're trying to be nice in the beginning. Like, could you take another picture?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not a
So then he
private
takes another one.
investigator.
His legs are up like this, and it's what was I think Morgan, our director, is like, these are going to be behind a paywall.
Yeah,
like, you're gonna
yeah,
have to click on this to make sure you're 18 after a while. So we couldn't air any of them. And you're sitting, you're like, I'm not a private
investigator,
I can't
but
take great pictures.
because sometimes we share pictures on the broadcast of what people are doing in their downtime. I figured we'd get Ace Beach photo and put it up there, but it didn't make the cut.
Yeah, maybe after dark.
After
TNT after dark.
Post game. I was gonna ask about working with like Jonesy and all those guys early days.
So good.
Mike Milbury, like what were they like in
JR.
studio behind the sscenes? I want to say Babcock at one point worked. with you
He
guys.
was there with us briefly. Yeah. We'll
You had to
start.
show him your phone.
Yeah, exactly. That was day one. Yeah. All right. Babcock quickly. We only worked with him briefly, but I mean, he's exactly who you expect him to be, right? He was like, he knew he was only there briefly. And when you have a guy who's like, he wants to coach again, he's only going to say certain things. But I remember
Torts was on for a minute.
not with us.
That was TSN, maybe?
Yeah, not with us. And I would have loved that. Like, I think Tort's fantastic on TV.
Yeah.
Babcock, I remember our producer, like one of the executives, came down to talk to him and was like really going over detail. And like 30 seconds into this little speech, Babcock had enough. Like he paused for a second. He's like, all right, is that it? Good. And he just walked away as if like some assistant coach had come up with an awful idea. And all of us were like, all right, it was hilarious. Otherwise, Milbury, I loved working with. Like, I loved him. He was surly. Like I loved going back and forth with him. And you get the perspective of a guy who's, seen some stuff in the NHL.
Yes.
And, and it's part of like so many unbelievable teams and weird stories with the Islanders. And as someone who grew up on Long Island, it was really cool. Jonesy, honestly, I've said you and Jonesy, like, two people have been so big in my career, Anson Carter as well.
Yeah.
But Jonesy, when I first started this, I was not a hockey guy. Like I was
You didn't play growing up?
Didn't play
Played
growing up.
soccer.
Yeah, I played almost every other sport. I was more of a soccer player. Did not play hockey. I mean, I grew up on Long Island, and my dad was a public school teacher. This was at the heels of the Islanders dynasty, and I'm like, oh, I want to play hockey. And he looked at me, he goes, rich kid sport. End of conversation. That was the end of it. We never spoke about me playing hockey ever again. And so that was it. But I love the game. I love sports. When I first got into this, though, it's like, all of a sudden, and it's an audience where you mispronounce someone's name, you butcher something, they're all over you. Now, once you're in, I feel like you're in.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's rough. Jonesy was so big in terms of just working with me, making sure I was on the right page. I think he's like, you can drive the bus, you can host the show. Like, we trust you. He's like, if you need anything, he's like, ask any stupid question you want off camera. We're going to get through this. And first couple of years, that was huge.
Did you picture him at one point being the president of a hockey team? Like, now we went to his ranch. It was outside Philly.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Yeah.
property. He's got horses. And I always heard how funny he was. And he was like the most hospitable, like funniest
Man.
guy. I'm like, this guy's a legend. But I still, even at that time, I was like, oh, he's just perfect at what he does on TV. Like, never saw him, taking over the reins of an NHL franchise. But I think he's like perfect for that as well. I just didn't picture it based on his sense of humor and stuff.
No, I wouldn't have either, just because of who he is and the life he leads. And I think he is that guy. He's funny. He's laid back. He's a storyteller.
But he was a prick when he played too. Yeah, that's
like, I mean, just the stories, right? Like Yager was, I guess, like losing some money in the market. Like it had been public, and like it was in the news. And Jonesy goes over to the bench before a game, puts his foot up on there. I mean, Jonesy can't even like touch his knee when he stretches. And he's like, "Hey, Yags, how's the day trade going?" Right before, that's like the quintessential. They're like, you're pissed off at him, but at the same time, like everyone on the bench probably laughing about it. I mean, guys would chase him around the ice.
Yeah.
He pissed them off.
Oh yeah.
Like he was that type of player. So no, I don't think so. But I think what he said is interesting, and I totally believe it. I don't believe it when anyone else says it, but when he said only this team, like only the Flyers, I really do. I think he loves that team, loves that city that much.
Have you ran into any of I think it's more the play-by-play announcers in the color, where like you hate my team. Why do you hate my team? You know what? I guess it'd be different. You're just hosting the pregame or the intermission and stuff. But I don't know if you've had fans reach out like, yeah.
Oh, fans, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
you must get it from the Islander
even with
fans
Florida
when
the
you
first
live
few
there.
games.
even with Florida, like I mean, we got to overtime in that first game, and I think Florida was outshot 14-2 in the third period. I mean, they had nothing in that third period, and the Oilers were coming. So like we were pretty heavy, obviously, in that intermission about the push by Edmonton, and you get people like, all right, you know, like you obviously want them to win. You don't care. You hate Florida. We'd spent so much time talking about them. It can turn on a dime,
Yeah.
which is the weird thing. And I love when I remember people actually accused me a few times of like trying to push the Rangers. And I grew up on Long Island, and I'm an Islanders fan.
You're like, I hate this team.
And I was like, I was like, just do like an ounce of research. Like, I'm not like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not pushing anyone. I don't care. I think
They hear what they want to hear.
yes. And if you're not
Yeah.
pumping the tires of their team, if you're talking about the other side, yeah, everyone's pissed. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like our show, we're talking about what's interesting.
That's
You
right.
know,
Or
like
the Leafs.
it's not 50-50, like, because not every period is 50-50 in terms
Right.
of interesting content. Like, and you know, if we get a game, it's different now. I mean, this series has been phenomenal. And there's so much. I mean, I think Hank tweeted out before we went on the other night. He's like, we need like a 45-minute intermission just to talk about everything that happened.
Oh, for
But
sure.
when you get like some of those October and November games,
buddy.
listen, and it's late night and you get a West Coast game.
You get
and it's like,
Seattle, Anaheim at
it's-
10 o'clock.
Exactly. Like, and I
Biz
think
is eating steak. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck.
you might as well just eat steak on air for like
Yeah.
during the intermission. I mean, it's but I think the cool thing about our show is we don't try to pretend it was interesting.
Right.
Because if it was a bad period of hockey, it was a bad period of hockey.
Yeah. Yeah,
and we'll
Biz, you
pivot.
say that quite often. Like that was watching paint dry.
The paint,
And
yeah.
that's okay. Like if
Yep.
that's what if the fan probably feels that way, I think most of them.
Everyone
And the funny thing is, you get responses from fans on that, and they are with you because they tuned in and they want to see something exciting. Also, they want to see their team play well, so you get some honesty there as well.
Let's get to some kind of quick hits. You're here. Love to just have you stay
Yeah,
around and talk about what's going on. First thing that catches my mind is the Dallas Stars have decided Pete DeBoer is gonzo. And Biz was the first one. We were doing a live stream of Game 5 in Dallas against the Oilers. He pulls Jake Ottinger after 2 goals against. It's 2-0. Only, I think, 7 minutes into the game. And Biz right away, he's like, this is like a fireable offense. Like, and we all kind of like, I don't know. He's been to 3 straight Western Conference Finals. He's been to 5 of the last 6 with other teams. No way. Boom. Decisions made, Biz. Like, I guess you right away, you realized how big of a mistake it was pulling Ottinger. And that was before we heard the quotes after the game that might have actually done him in completely.
I think it did.
Yeah, I just after the game when he said that, it just felt like he was thinking about it before the game. You know when he said that?
Oh wow!
Like how would you
Premeditated.
like what you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he's like, oh, going back to last year, he did this in these games, and it's just like, how are you processing that after the loss, rather than like all the other stuff that was going on in the midst of that?
Like
game?
it was discussed beforehand, and then it's like, see the start. See, I told you this might happen.
Kinda like
He
Yeah.
had said he had
Yeah.
lost 6 out of the last 7 against them. We give up 2 goals early in an elimination game. Boom, he's done. And it's like, whoa, I didn't know you'd be coming with that. The season's over. Like, yeah. So you called it though.
and how about like how did the goals happen? Like how
Breakaway.
yeah.
It was
the seas parted. So what do you make of all that?
I thought the decision was beyond questionable at the beginning, and then I thought, like you guys, I thought the press conference made it so much worse, so much worse. And I think there's such an opportunity there. And I think honestly, if DeBoer had a chance to do it differently, he would. I think it's an easy thing to feel that way and not say that. And it doesn't make a difference what sport you're playing. Franchise player and coach, you can't have that. You can't have that happen there. And Ottinger is their franchise goalie. He's also really well liked throughout the entire league.
Yeah,
where the
Great
guys were
guy.
upset by the quote.
Yes, and I think that's the other thing where it's
and
like
his comments too. Remember, he was like,
He handled it great.
yeah.
You thought he might have saved it based on like how he handled it and where he could have gone with it, but they had made their decision. Jim Nill decided.
Did he say that they had or hadn't spoke? Like had Ottinger had a behind the closed doors conversation with DeBoer after that game before he was then interviewed after the season?
I don't remember seeing.
yeah.
I'm assuming they would have spoken by then, right?
Before he takes before the press conference.
I doubt it.
No, I'm saying before
no,
Ottinger's press conference.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ottinger,
okay.
like when you kind of clean out your locker a couple days.
Oh,
later.
you're talking about like the exit.
Yeah. So,
all right.
so Pasha, you're saying that they never had a. That's
What?
weird. That's
Yeah,
weird. That tells me everything right there,
Wow.
where there was obviously a disconnect, and now it makes a lot more sense.
Well, that brings up the other side of like where you could play devil's advocate, conspiracy theorist, where he's like, all right, I got 1 year left.
This is where I'm at.
I'm seeing these deals. I got Mike Sullivan making $7 million a year in New York. I got
That's right.
I got Talkett making 5.5 in Philly. I will be immediately the number one guy wanted, and I know I can get like he's gonna get he's gonna make $6 million a year wherever he goes.
What's he make now?
I
He
don't.
makes 4.25.
But doesn't it? I mean, it's got to give you some pause though. If you're a GM,
That he was willing. Yeah, I don't. Well, I think his success.
his resume is incredible.
Yes,
all right, and he
exactly.
wins. He does, and I would say even before this episode, he has blamed goalies in the past. I think it's been documented.
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and not to this
In
degree,
Vegas,
like
right?
yeah, but it's been documented that like listen, he's talked about them in the past, but nothing like this. Okay, I think probably nothing really more than most head coaches if they're asked direct questions about their goaltending.
Mhm.
But it would seem to. It would give you pause. It would give me pause as a GM. You know, now I think his resume probably overrides that.
Yeah, I think his success is more what sticks out.
And now you also have to look at who's available, right?
Yep.
Who's available from the coaching standpoint, and is any of those coaches even in his league? And the answer is no.
Oh, and so I guess with a Fleury situation with the sword in his back, that was DeBoer also.
I believe that was yes.
When
that
Alan
was,
Walsh sent that
Mark
tweet
Andre
out?
Fleury, and Walsh tweets that out,
Yeah.
and so like there's history, but I don't think it's like a history where it's like everywhere he goes he's doing this to goalies. I don't think it's like that.
I do feel that part of him was obviously comfortable enough where he has this resume we're talking about, where he's like, I'm going to say this because I'm feeling it. And
I don't care.
And I don't really care. And
Yeah.
what's going to be the consequence? I got a year left at 4.25. They're going to have to pay me if they do fire me. And then halfway through next year, when a team's desperate, they're going to hit me with a 5x6.
Yep.
That might not be like, that might not have been a thought through in his head. Like, I'm not like, we're just kind of speculating here, but you have to imagine where you say something that as a coach, you have to feel very, very comfortable in your skin with where you're at, where it's like, I feel like I'm invincible.
But I brought that up because we had talked about this, about it's the same for a player. I mean, you're having a big season and you see a couple guys sign deals. It's no different for a coach, right? Like you're a player, you're like, whoa, that's a comparable for me. And he just got 7x7. Like it's just human nature to be to see. Now he had one more year left and he would have gotten it after that. But yeah, it was a weird way for that all to go down. I mean, they went from, I think a lot of people kind of had them beating the Oilers and then being a legit Stanley Cup threat against the Panthers, and boom, he's out of a job. That's how crazy the coaching carousel has become in the NHL. It's wild. But sticking with the coaching in the league has kind of changed up how they're giving out certain awards this year. I thought the Spencer Carberry, Jack Adams, how they did it. And for anyone who didn't see it, they brought him in. Who's the guy who does the play-by-play for the Caps? Great play-by-play guy.
Joe Beninati.
Joe Beninati. So they had him in. It was all completely fake, but it was more to go over the season with Joe Beninati. It was at the TV studio, and Spencer Carberry thinks they're going to talk about the big wins and the OV goal chase, and they're going through it all. But it was all set up so that his kids and his wife could come in, and I believe maybe his parents too, with the Jack Adams trophy. Pretty cool way to get it for a guy who, we've seen the locker room speeches. We've seen what he's created in Washington as a culture and where he's come from, and climbing from the coast all the way to the top of the mountain in the NHL. And I loved it. I think he was a deserving winner, and I thought it was a cool way to do that video presentation.
Yeah, you like all those videos?
I like this. Yeah, I mean, I think there have been award shows in general.
They're tough. We had Biz doing it in Nashville.
Yeah. Listen, I was next to him.
Yeah.
And they've hit or miss moments, and like
that's where McJesus first wanted to kill you, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that was the first
that was
time.
hot
I brought
tub.
up the hot tub time.
The look he gave you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
McDavid.
disgusting.
Yeah, he had enough of that. Yeah. That was the dry side of look that when he called you whiz.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it was
So
that. It
good.
was similar to that. I love what they're doing, and I think it made total sense, especially for Carberry and the Caps, because what we've seen with that team, I think throughout the year, is I loved all the behind the scenes.
Mhm.
I love it all. many reasons at many different teams, but what the Caps did this year, and you got to really see that locker room during the chase and how they're all pulling for each other. And Carberry, you really get to see the communication that he has with his players, so genuine, so authentic. It was the perfect fit for that award for that guy.
Yeah, I think it's a good example for like these up and coming coaches and the new wave of how like players want to be talked to. That's it right there. That's the epitome of it. And going back to the award stuff, like people's attention spans are getting smaller and smaller too. So have these cool, fun, viral moments.
5-minute videos
where that probably got more views than what people watching on TV would have got, right? So, and then they had Meredith Goudreau, who surprised
Monahan.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Monty, like that's a great moment. Like, so to capture these fun things and like allow the fans to see it, and you don't everyone have to assemble in an auditorium or whatever it may be for
auditorium.
And even the
school
auditorium, even Barkov receiving the Selke and the King Clancy. It was King Clancy, like, I think Zito's there and mentions how, you know, they usually go over to the hospital and visit kids, and instead, boom, the kids come there with it. They gave him the King Clancy, and then they're like, oh, I think we had one more. And boom, the Selke comes in the team, in front of the team in the video room. Another cool way. Like, I had heard that they were going to do that this year. They were done with the award show, or I think they're still maybe having
it's like a tape
for the majors,
and then
for the major ones. And that they were going to do little videos for, and I was like, what are they talking about? But they've actually all came out great. And yeah, Meredith Goudreau bringing Sean Monahan that trophy. That's an emotional one. And they've done a good job. I've been impressed by how the league's kind of pulled that off so far.
Well, who do you guys think wins the Hart Trophy?
I think Leon. I mean, we've already seen. Did Kucherov win the Ted Lindsay?
Yeah.
That was already. So that's one where, like, God, when you see the players vote, when it doesn't match up, it's like, oh, Jesus. Like, there's that much of a disconnect between the media voting and the players in the league. Like, you almost would rather the Lindsay, right? Like, your peers are telling you, you are the best player in the league. You're the most valuable.
I don't think they picked Leon because he's so dirty out there. You're just slashing.
Oh, yeah. Kucherov's a real Lady Bing type winner.
Is he pretty?
Cooch, yeah, he's dirty.
Nastier than Leon?
He does like the toe
Cooch is one of the dirtiest players in the league for the top end talent.
I thought Leon can have a very
He can, but Kucherov is dirty.
Yeah,
I would say Leon.
I would say Kucherov's reputation, his past history is actually worse.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Suspended.
Yeah.
I feel like like Leon.
And I don't consider him a dirty player, but it's like, but I do wonder about that. Like, for players, how much personality plays into it. Like, if you don't like somebody, are you voting for him as the best player?
No.
Like,
but you're also, I think Kucherov probably has guys in the league. Like, I love how little he gives a fuck. That sounds worse than it is. Almost like it's just like Cooch. Like, he's so nasty while also being like,
he could give a fuck about your Ted Lindsay trophy. Like, in a sense of like, he doesn't care about
like
your vote.
Like, hey, get it in deep. He's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's more like players kind of love that a little bit. But we'll see. I mean, so I think Leon gets MVP. I do.
Okay.
Rocket Richard, McDavid missing time, him being that good. I think that ends up happening, but the Ted Lindsay did surprise me because I thought this year's winner would win both.
I can say, so I have a vote. I voted.
They took my vote away. They took my votes away. Yeah,
well, you should have called. I just would have voted whoever.
I gave Crosby the Selke last year, and I think I lost my vote. For that one. So
wow.
Yeah.
He was on my list.
Okay.
Okay.
Who'd you vote for?
Hellebuck.
Okay.
Yeah. Kucherov second, Draisaitl third. But I would say this: I don't care. Like, not that I don't have an opinion on any of the three of them could win. It doesn't feel like that year
where it's an obvious one. Yeah.
But I do wonder, now that you mentioned like the player vote, I wonder how the players would feel about voting for a goalie.
So my whole thing is that the goalies, they start and Hellebuck's at the top end, 55, 60 games.
Yep.
They're not playing in every game. Now, when they're in the game, they're out on the ice the entire time, but the puck's in the offensive zone. To me, the MVP is somebody that's playing every game, or, you know, missing two. What did Leon miss? 2 or 3 games. Like, I just have a tough time giving MVP to goalie based on the fact that you're not in the lineup contributing every single night. But Hellebuck's season is that impressive where I'm with you. If he got it, it's not like I'm like, that's bullshit.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I don't know if you guys had a strong feeling one way or the other about who wins it this year.
No, I think that Hellebuck, like, especially from today's standard of how much goalies actually play, like when Ullmark won it, I feel like he played like less games.
Well, they split the net. Yeah, him and
Swayman almost.
And he won the best. Yeah.
So when the year that Theodore won it, how many games did he play as a goalie? G?
Probably 70 back
Yeah,
then.
because that's what I mean. Back then, it might have been a little bit more,
68.
a little easier because guys can respect the fact that you're playing almost every game.
And Price won it as well, right?
Yeah.
So you did, Price won MVP, correct?
Yeah.
Price won
Yeah.
MVP.
So
Dominic Hasek.
So okay, so you have to look though that
It's a
the
lot of
last two goalies that won it, when you're that good in Montreal, that's going to add something.
True.
That is going to add something with media. You're the Canadians goalie and you're lighting it up. That's going to make a little bit of a difference. Now, Winnipeg, obviously, you know, Hellbuck's in Canada, so that could also kind of add to this. But
I also think if he's not on Winnipeg, they don't even make playoffs. Like
which would be the definition.
Yeah,
which would be it's most valuable to your team,
Right.
correct?
Yep.
But I look at like without Leon this year.
Oh, I think you make the case for all of them.
Yeah.
I think you absolutely do. And Leon specifically in terms of if he was out, I mean, for an extended period of time, and this team's grinding.
Oh God,
yeah. They're scraping by to try to get in.
What else? Is there any other awards?
Yeah, there's no other awards, but there's a player that we've talked about endlessly here that we now will have on, I believe. But TJ Oshi announced his retirement, and this year was just it was a foregone conclusion. The back could not hold up, but holy shit, this guy! I mean, talk about a gamer. And like I think of Oshi, and I think most hockey fans that know his name, maybe fringe hockey fans, it's like Olympics shootout against Russia. It was one of the coolest things anyone's ever seen. I just more remember playing against him. I remember hearing about him at North Dakota, hearing about him even prior to that when he's lighting up, was it Warroad or no?
Yeah, Warroad.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's always been a gamer. He had the most insane skills on breakaways. He was a tank, one of the masters of the reverse hit, a true animal that kind of changed where St. Louis had been. The Blues had been They had good teams early 2000s with Pronger. I think they won a President's Trophy. Then things slid for a little bit, and then Oshi came in. And then Petro was there and David Backes, but Oshi was kind of the thing that brought life back to St. Louis Blues hockey. And then to see him, right, like he moves over to Washington and they get that Stanley Cup. And it makes total sense that he was a guy that finally helped them get over the hill and figure out what it took to win a Stanley Cup. He'd been through the playoffs in St. Louis. And no wonder a back injury is kind of what ended it for him. Playing the way he did, there was no chance his body was going to be able to last. But that's what made you respect him that much, that he was willing to literally do anything it took, take any hit, give any hit, while also scoring big goals.
Like as far like a herniation.
I don't know if they've ever.
All five.
So I texted him, obviously congratulating him, and he said that was harder than I thought, which I think is perfect for him because he fucking gave it all. Like he's a guy that gave everything to the game when he was playing, whether it was in the summertime or when he was playing. That guy gave everything, and I can imagine for a guy like that, like not having the game to play, especially this year too,
and actually announcing it.
Well, you could tell he was just the ultimate team guy. I mean,
Yeah.
look at the tunnel antics that they would like, just all the pregame rituals and how big of a smile he had on in warm-ups.
The parade celebration through
oh my
jug.
God,
yeah.
Jersey chug, yeah.
And I think
they kind of were the first team that brought those crazy parties. Like,
yeah.
Well,
they
it
had
just
the
went
fountain,
on,
right?
It kept going.
Yeah,
Like every day, it was like a
Yeah,
they were getting tattoos.
That was
Remember
before
that?
bands will make you dance.
in the fountain with the it was incredible.
I think that most people who know TJ Oshi and then even fans learned along the way like what his dad meant to him, coach.
Yeah.
And if you remember, he had passed away when he won the Stanley Cup, and or was he
No, he was there.
No, he was there
he
with
was
him on the ice.
I'm sorry, he was, but he was in a tough spot.
Yeah,
right.
And just seeing the emotion coming from him that his dad got to witness it, and like knowing what he meant to him, and being called coach and always being around, like that was something you think of too for him, how much his dad meant and that he got to be there. Sorry, I messed that up. But more just as an American, like watching this kid, you're like, holy shit, does this make you proud to like know this guy, see him play? And congrats to him. Incredible career.
All the Olympics when they...
So I was there,
for that game.
That's awesome.
and it remains, the best live sporting event I've ever been
Yeah.
at.
Was Bob in net for that?
Yeah,
he was.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and Oshi, if you go back and look at that, he doesn't score on one of his times because it's the international rules and you can go over and over. The one he doesn't score on, he fakes Bob out horribly and misses the net. He
had him beat every time.
Oh,
basically.
his stick skills were incredible.
Yes.
And to watch someone who, it's funny when you look back, people sit there and like, wait, how did Oshi actually make that team? And a big reason he made that team was the idea that they could go to a shootout. And
I
you
was
could
there
use-
at that World
shit.
Championships.
right? You could use him.
Oh, he'd
over
done
and
it
over.
prior. You
Year
brought that
before,
up on a show.
Yeah, we were like, we were gonna get relegated by like France or something like that. It was our team was horrible, and he same thing. He scored like 6 in a row for us to win the game, and that next year he was on the team.
You know
And
what
they
his
said
move
'cause of
was?
that.
Yep. It was.
He had one of the best fake shots.
Yeah.
He would he'd bring it back and totally put his body to it. Then he'd go backhand, but then he'd bring it back forehand.
And, yeah.
So it was 2 different enormous fakes. The shot, backhand, and then back again. So against 3. And you couldn't stop it. Like every goalie bit when he
Mhm.
faked the snapshot. And it was, I remember in the Blues camp, he was doing it.
Yeah.
And he was also running around camp. You're like, holy fuck. I didn't know about him that well
hard.
until I saw a training camp with him.
And you watch someone at the Olympics go from much sports obscurity. I mean, he was a guy that fans knew.
Right.
But I
A
think
legend.
overnight, like in an instant,
Yeah.
and he's on every talk
Yeah.
show.
And he's a
And-
good looking cat.
And he's
too,
got
so
that,
that-
and he's it's hockey's a joy, and he's so happy to be there. And he was a huge smile on his face, and you knew in one way or another this guy was going to be a star. He had the skills, he had the personality, and then you'd watch him his teammates loved him.
Oh yeah.
Loved him. And you mentioned you're right, it's sort of sadly appropriate that he goes out with this sort of injury because not a big dude.
No.
Not
No.
a big dude.
He
And
was a tank.
but he
Played big.
played
Yeah.
big.
Yep.
Like,
He wasn't tall, but he was fucking
he's
thick.
put together and he played big. And I think the 2 images for me are him in that shootout and then the other one you mentioned, him and his father on.
And I don't know if we could pull it up. Might be too late. Anyone can go check it out. YouTube Oshi highlights at North Dakota. You'll see some of the biggest
really?
reverse hits
Oh,
you've
no.
ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
There's one YouTube video, and he was a dominant player in college, but the way he was throwing the body around, it was crazy. But we got one last thing.
Well, I was just gonna say,
Okay.
it's nice to see when guys like that get their 1,000 games. So we got 1,000
Yep.
regular season games. So
Got a
that's
mug.
that's a big milestone. He got the mug. Going back to that Olympics though, when the shootout against Russia, was Putin in the house?
Yes. This was there's tension, you feel it. Also, so Sochi is such a strange Olympics for many reasons, but we would go in and there'd be security like any Olympic event. You'd go in. There were days where it felt like the security guards were half asleep. You were just walking through, all right, cool.
That's Russia.
And then that day, they were taking people and put them in back rooms, patting them down, and you're like, oh, so it's going to be different today. And after that game, the next day, I remember again, it was just hey, what are you bringing in? Go right ahead.
Yeah.
Enjoy. The big guy's not here, so it'll be fine.
Yeah,
But that day was different, man. Yeah, I remember Dave Strader, late Dave Strader, he was calling games, and he got the full pat down in the back, and just nice man.
They hit him with some Russian gas in the neck.
Wasn't that the year that all the guys on Team USA came back with dogs because there was stray
Yeah.
dogs?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's David Backus, I think, was a big part of it.
Yeah, Derek Stepan.
And it was weird. I mean, they were there when we arrived, and then a week later, you're like, "Where did the dogs?"
Yeah.
You're eating it at the village.
Yeah, that was in the Olympics.
Yeah. Good luck with the goat, the dog goat.
How's that Bernedoodle taste?
Oh,
All right, boys. Big announcement, especially with you two sitting next to each other. September 25th to September 27th. The Boston Stranglers versus the Big Deal Select. And you know where this is going down?
Where?
The city of Boston.
Oh
baby.
my God! You hear where it is?
Oh,
It's in Boston.
It's not gonna fit on your neck.
2025. We're going to be in Boston. We're not going to announce the exact location yet. We're not allowed to do that, I was told. But start to get your teams together, book your hotels. More info will come in the next few weeks. But we're coming to Boston late September. Best time of the year weather-wise in Boston.
Best time
And
to win
we
a
have
street
a
hockey
war.
tournament.
We have a war on our hands.
Yeah.
We got Yans and a bunch of criminals that are the Boston Stranglers versus the Toronto Maple Leafs of the Chiclets Cup, a team who can't win it all, who's never been able to get it done, and consistently every year thinks they will.
More breaking news.
What?
I got Pete DeBoer coach.
Oh, jeez.
Paying him $5.
So Ottinger's not playing goalie. That stinks.
Yeah,
but
no, we don't have a goalie.
there's a lot at stake here. The Big Deal Selects. We're putting our
With
team
pink slips.
pink slips. If we go,
this is it.
This is
If
pink.
we go
slip.
farther than them, Boston Stranglers are done.
Just like his face, pink.
Oh, you're not doing though. If we don't win it, we're not done.
No, if we have to go farther than the Boston Stranglers, and if they go farther than us, he owns the Big Deal Selects. He owns the name. He owns it all. He owns the players. But if we beat the Boston Stranglers, they're done.
This could be like full
And
road game too, though.
To my
I mean, the
Stranglers
crowd
that are
he's gonna
watching, I
have in
know you're
Boston.
watching. Get ready, boys.
I mean, it's full road game.
I know.
Yeah,
He's gonna have all his uncles and
It's
cousins.
not going to
there.
be good for him. It's good. They're gonna need the security that when Putin was at the games for his team to get in.
Everybody knows you there. I mean, we were at Fenway for the Winter Classic, and weren't you like walking around outside?
Yeah.
And some guy was scalping tickets
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
And
grainy.
he walked by. He's like, "Hey, Jens!"
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
their
He's
security
playing.
guy's like, "You're friends with this guy?"
Yeah.
Like,
I
"Oh,
mean,
yeah, yeah, I
there's
know
no
everybody here."
way that Putin hasn't had the gout before either. So there are a lot of similarities, I think, between you two. It's really something that could be a bad thing for you. But Chiclets Cup, September 25th, 27th in Boston.
Oh my-
Cannot wait. Liam, thank you so much.
Thank
That
you
was
for having
awesome,
me, man.
dude.
Thank you,
And-
Juice.
the best.
Thanks for having
And
me.
once again, man, it's been a pleasure working with you. Like my first time, like being in like the broadcast game. Like you're a true professional, and it's been a true blessing, buddy. So thank you for everything, your friendship and your leadership as well, man.
Yeah, what you've done for the game, both you guys, but you especially, what you've done for the game, building it the way it is,
Yeah.
getting these guys to get personalities going. It's amazing.
I don't
and
think
you're the
until
best to do it.
TNT this year, and this is excluding Canada with Don Cherry in his heyday, people have looked forward to intermissions.
Right.
And with your guys' show, it actually is not a time to go do stuff at intermission. It's like,
Nope.
I want to see what they say. And credit to both you guys, Wayne, Hank, Anson. So
Yeah.
let's
thank you. So listen, I love this show. I love working with you guys. And I think the biggest thing people say is like, it looks like you're just having an awesome time with your buddies. And I think it's what you have right here.
What should be.
And that's it looks that way because it's true,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't feel like work. It's not a grind. It's fun. Man.
Chiclets YouTube, Thursday noon, game notes coming to you to set up game 4. I'm nervous. I'm scared, but I believe. And I think that they're going to get a dub. We needed these 2 days off. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you to Liam. Thank you to Kevin, the Juice.
Thanks for
Bieksa,
staring at our packages for 2 hours.
And and watch out for eating steak every single night for 14
don't
straight
do it.
nights. You don't want gout. You don't want to be like Biz. And no crotch shots to your coworkers.
Yes.
Have a great day. Love you guys.